How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Pritchard Pub. Tonight's guest is the ultimate Kahuna. What up, brother?
See.
There
Hell
we go.
yeah, brother.
Yeah. Sorry, I had you muted. How we doing tonight, man?
Woo! There we go.
You're
Take
coming
that
through.
crap off. There we go. Fucking hair's getting long.
So, how we doing tonight?
Oh, we're doing good, man. Just had a very lazy weekend trying to recover. Mostly just like being in the office and recovering at home a little bit. Have some sort of like weird virus. It's not COVID or anything like that, but it's been like it's been like 4-ish weeks of a sore throat and like low energy. It's not that much fun.
Yeah, I hate when that happens. I've been pretty healthy, but just buried in some side work that has been keeping me nice and occupied. So
That's good, man. Yeah, I got to start working on some more audio for spirit animals here soon.
yes. I just got Royce's lines back for the character of Durham in episode 2, and he knocked it out of the park, man. I could just listen to those lines.
He understands sound quality really, really well.
I listened.
So that, like did you hear him on Herman's video? I didn't even recognize him at first. It was cool.
No. I think he's on Ruthless Volume 2 as well.
Yeah, he is. I need to actually watch that episode. Yeah.
Yeah. Shout outs to Herman P. Hunter, the Lore Forge, the Hedge, buy his book, and JVP Music, who does Ruthless. But yeah, Royce, which for those who don't know listening, he does the channel on YouTube called A Drink with Crazy, and hosts Iron Age Nights and Comic Shop Wednesdays and others, among other things. And he's also a reviewer. Oh, that looks like Herman's book. Hold that up for everybody.
It's his novella, The Revenant and the Tomb, soon to be followed by its sequel, The Revenant and the Cult. To this day, this is still one of my favorite Iron Age books, and I'm very excited to see what he comes up with next regarding Hell Cedric.
What did you like about it?
The prose. It was really well balanced. It felt like an older kind of pulpy, like Robert E. Howard, like with slight horror elements, but there's also like elements of religious and prayer kind of tossed in there, but really tastefully, and it doesn't distract at all from the fantasy of it.
Well,
it's like things use different names. It's like you have a holy man with a flaming sword, and it does not feel like in your face religious. It's very, very good.
Well, speak of the devil,
and he shall appear. Crazy.
Quite the opposite of a devil in this case, because unless you mean a handsome devil with that wig. I mean,
it's a
the hairdo.
Tremendous wig, the best of wigs.
The best hairdo in the Iron Age. I can vouch for it myself.
It's real. It's real. You can touch it.
Yep, I've touched it on many occasions. It's the finest hairdo. And how we doing, Jonathan A. Douglas? Hail.
Also, Bat Sauce is here too, man.
And we got
the whole gang's here.
We're all here. The homies are all here. How's it going, everybody? My Iron Age brothers. Oh, Royce is leaving. I was just complimenting him too. Shucks.
Welcome anyway. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So I'm working on that video response regarding spoilers. It's not going to be so much a response, more just my own thoughts on it.
Yeah.
But yeah. How do you feel about spoilers in a story, AC? Just curious.
I love it. I personally, so I understand why people don't want the story spoiled. But me personally, a lot of times when I decide I want to check something out, I will go and dive into spoilers. I guess because I can hold separate ideas in my mind or something. There's something there where it doesn't like necessarily spoil it for me, knowing what's going to happen. You know what I mean? So
you can definitely still enjoy a story even if you know what's going to happen.
Right. And finding out almost it gets me more excited, and it doesn't take the piss out of it unless honestly, the only time that it deflates things is usually when those things are not very well delivered. If the entire story depends on some sort of like rug pull moment, maybe that's a weak point.
I think for me, it depends on how excited I am about the story. If I'm not that excited, I'm not as weary of spoilers. I'm not that worried about it. But if it's a story I really am enjoying when I'm really invested in, even though I've read enough stories, I can probably anticipate what's going to happen anyway. I still like the experience of going through and having that confirmation confirmed or denied by the story itself, rather than having someone else tell me. It doesn't make the overall experience over the course of years matter very much, but I don't know. It's had something special when you really don't expect something.
That's true, and if you spoil the story, obviously you know what's going to happen, so it's like you can't get that special moment. So I guess I am like, there's a trade-off there, for in some cases. That isn't to say that I don't like preserve the story in some cases. Like a lot of video games, I really like going through, and like when I played through Dead Space, I remember I just played through it. I just played through that crap.
They got some jump scares in that mofo.
It's really good world building too. Like honestly, very Lovecraft.
I having never played it, I found out about the lore later. I was like, oh, this is actually pretty spicy. It's pretty good.
Yeah, dude. I really think it's like one of my favorite games, even though I don't like play it often. Just I don't know, the way they went about it. It just, that Resident Evil style really lends itself to like a sci-fi setting for some reason, with like alien zombies, because that's really all it is like Resident Evil in space when you really get down to it. But I don't know, something about it. Something about it.
Me, I don't like slower shooters.
Yeah.
Like that. Like Halo is floaty, but it doesn't feel slow to me, because you have you have high damage but also high health, so it gives you time to strategize.
Oh, I see. Yeah. And when you set Halo to like SWAT mode, you do get rid of some of that fluff, so to speak. Because it's just very headshot reliant and stuff, but it's still very much like, kind of feels like you're just like walking mannequins that are made up of body section and then a head that is more damage on the head. You know what I mean? That's about it. Whereas like Dead Space, as far as like, you mentioned slow shooter, for example, it's really cool to like decapitate and like dismember, and like really you have to take your time on the weak points on some enemies, and you really have to identify kind of how their biology works and stuff in some cases.
Well, heck, even the game I've been playing recently, Helldivers, it's the same way. Like when you shoot an enemy, it shows you where, it doesn't show damage, it just show the damage meter. It just shows where you hit them, and you can see how much damage you've done. So it's very visual that way. Very fun.
Hell yeah, man. I got to get into that. Does it have a cool story?
The story is mostly a meme. It's a live game. So there's one guy at the studio who is directing the enemy factions where to attack and where to reinforce. And then also, so it's the players versus the developers in a live kind of setting. You can see the active, like how liberated how free this planet is.
That's sick. There was a few games that did that back in the day. Red Faction, I think it was. I don't know if that's the case. There's a few of them where like just playing online, the team you played for, it affected it. I think WoW did it there for a little bit, like the Horde and the Alliance, right? Back and forth. You could affect the world. RuneScape too, I remember that shit.
RuneScape was like that too,
yeah. It was a big deal when like somebody became like a powerful figure, like everybody like in the world knew it was it almost kind of like transcended the game a little bit, you know what I mean? It's kind of cool.
No, people are making propaganda posters for this game and like propaganda videos and like, hey, we have to reinforce this planet because their freedom percentage is going down and all this shit. It's a good time, man. I
know, right? But yeah, man, you gotta check out Race's part on Ruthless.
I know. I need to watch I think I watched Ruthless Part 1 way back, but I need to watch Part 2.
Dude, I remember first checking that story out. I was at work, and I was just like moving big ass windows in a warehouse. So it's almost like perfect for that. Like it's this, his main weapon is a guitar with like chainsaw parts and stuff. It's just like this pimped out guitar, you know, so it's all sharp and I'm handling sharp objects and just doing manly work and grunting and lifting and moving. And then I just have like JVP's voice, or I think it's his brother or somebody. I have the the ruthless voice in my head just telling me this pretty fucking metal story. Just like, yeah, dude, fun, I can get behind this shit for sure. For sure. And I just can't wait to see where it goes and how it develops, because he's got like a brilliant idea there with a virtual comic. Think about that. That's
I know. Dope. Plus having the voices and the like the sound quality too. And plus he does music, so he's able to add that extra touch that maybe is missing from like maybe say an ordinary most audiobooks.
Oh yeah. And it's you know, it's almost like a TV series in a way, if you think about it. If he plans on continuing it for a while, like if he's just unveiling the world, you know, like you laid the world down and then you can just kind of play in the sandbox for a while, so to speak. Because if that's the case and it's like ongoing, that could be really sweet. Because I mean, that's a way to build up a YouTube channel, for example. All you gotta do is get monetized, and all those views turn into, you know, it's a different way of going about it than like selling comics, and it's kind of genius in my opinion.
Welcome, Evely. Welcome to the stream.
Evely.
Also, that's kind of what you're doing with Spirit Animals too. It's turning almost more into like this TV show like kind of thing that you're doing.
Brother, if I could have a comic along with each written episode, oh my gosh.
Or even just a few illustrations throughout would be cool too.
You know,
costs money, but it would be very, very cool.
Maybe I should figure something like that out. But yeah, the problem is money, and I am putting a lot of time and effort into it for a free product. Like I do plan on giving at least like the equivalent of the entire first season away for free. Or like the first arc, whatever you want to view it as, like the first 7 episodes for sure, or 8 maybe potentially, are just, and everything that goes along with it, like the audiobook. If there was a comic, that would be included too, just all free, because I want people to kind of pick up what I'm laying down here before they get behind it. But yeah, obviously since Substack has
experiment in marketing for sure.
Yeah. And it's kind of running away with me as far as the story and world building goes. Like I find myself caring about it more and more. Like, you know, it very much was largely just like one of the ideas I had in my idea bank, just kind of chilling for a while, that I decided to pluck off the tree and develop a little bit as the free material. But since it's one of those ideas from that same tree that all of my other ideas come from, I can't help but just like, it's flowing now. The juices are flowing, and now I got my friends involved. Like, you're on the next episode.
Yeah, you've made it collaborative. Now there's other people contributing their own ideas and their own voices.
It's very much becoming a life of its own. And I think a lot of that has to do with the free aspect behind it. Now, it's not feasible to have it completely like free through and through, unless like I get so successful in something else that I can divert some other resources to continuing an entire free thing over here, which would be really freaking awesome if I could do that, because then I would totally like get a comic.
On the other hand, people like at some point there needs to be some sort of monetary exchange, because people value what is shown to be valuable, even if it's just a mental thing. It's like there are a lot of great free things out there, but I've seen a lot of great free things kind of get ignored too. So
that's the thing. Thing. The last thing I wanted to do is dump a lot of my energy into a through and through free thing. I mean, and not just energy, like a lot of like creative love, really, and personal attachment and stuff.
Effort and
dude. Just basically putting it through all the motions, just to have it be completely ignored or, just off in some way, and the way I'm going about it is very cautious. It's like, look, I'm promising at least an arc, which means if I never do it again after that, the way I do stories is that arc in itself is going to be a completed story. Each episode, I try to do that too. Like I try to have each episode almost like its own complete little story.
Oh yeah, you can even go further down than that. Like a lot of people like even try to do that in a single scene, like try to have the 3 act or
Ooh,
5 act kind of thing going down,
in one
even down to
scene.
a scene level.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Oh
it
yeah.
depends on how deep you go, and not every story is worth that. But yeah,
Well,
yo,
in
Anthony, it's Anthony Rodonelli has joined us in the
ordinary,
chat.
and he loves you, Kahuna. We all do. We all do here, in the non-existent Iron Age.
Yeah, the non-exist people on Twitter and Facebook, man. Holy smokes! Oh, you threw me back there for a second, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, did you see Ethan like pissing everybody off today too? It's like they're
Not
like,
today. No.
is he making fun of us or is that? I'm like, it says in Wonderland behind him. He is definitely making fun of you guys. Yeah, there's no
Yeah, I
doubt
think so.
about it.
Yeah, I saw that. I went and I saw the creative Welshman went ahead and shouted a bunch of people out. So I went in there and tossed my 2 cents in there, and he had this list of a bunch of people and encouraged people to add to it. So I did, and I don't care. Pretty shamelessly throw that shit in there because Iron Age is indie. That's what it is, and some people may use that as a rallying call or in whatever personal way they want to, which is fine. And that's a great thing about having something not trademarked.
Yeah,
No
one owns it. It's just something.
Yes.
It's a hashtag or a moniker that we throw around in order to connect and create something of a community within the scope of what we consider Iron Age.
Yeah. And Bad Sauce makes a good point. Trying to change the topic from the dog drama. It's a good point.
Oh, Comicsgate. Yeah. Comicsgate has a lot of drama, and it's starting to filter over too, which is what I'm kind of nervous about.
Evele with the fire. With the fire. We'll burn that bridge when we come to it. I love that saying, and I might use it. What is that from, bro? Did you come up with it? I've never heard that before. That's amazing. That's amazing. I love it. Because I always say we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. That's like something I say.
That's the saying, and then someone altered it just a little bit. It's like what's his face? Michael from The Office would do that too. It's like I say dance, they say how high. Wait.
They say how high, yeah. You know what they say? First time, shame on you. Second time, shame on you. Or whatever it is. He always messes it up.
He always gets it not quite right.
Yeah.
Evely is an honest man, if nothing else. I didn't make it up. That's how he sounds also, by the way, guys.
Yeah, Evely. I didn't make it up. He has like a Batman voice in real life.
I want to talk about bears and rabbits. Where are they?
Right.
Sharing his old man wisdom here. There we go.
Yeah, I'll fall off a bridge when I get to it. Yeah. I had friends growing up who jumped off bridges to go swimming.
Okay. There's two very different versions of jumping off bridges. I just wanted to clarify which one we were going over there.
The traditional sense, into water.
The fun way. Okay, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. I never did it, but
some of those effers are tall, dude.
The
tallest place I've jumped off was a genuine 44 feet. It starts hurting your feet at about 30 to 35 feet. That's when you know, man.
Kahuna or Evele says, "Are you boys with Tenapple?" I like that guy. I don't know who Tenapple is.
I don't know who that is either.
Evele. I keep saying Evele.
Share your wisdom.
Share your wisdom with both Kahunas. So I got something.
Yeah. What you got, man?
I watched Dune, and I've been
wanting to see it. It looks so cool, dude.
I watched Avatar as well, and I dipped my toe into Halo today. Halo was terrible.
God bless America.
It's like, do I say Avatar got the Halo treatment, or do I say Halo got the Avatar treatment?
I think Avatar had it first with M. Night Shyamalan, so I think maybe the Halo got they all got the Star Wars treatment. Maybe that's more truthful.
Well, it's really weird because, Mike and Tenapple. I think we're missing something.
Yeah,
I think you have to be really cool to understand this. Yeah, Halo got it way
worse.
worse. Yeah,
Did
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
I haven't
Avatar.
seen. Oh, okay, yeah.
So Avatar actually does brush along some of the broad strokes. Like I feel like a lot of these people just get bullet point facts about like the story and the world, and they're like, hey, as long as you hit these bullet points, do whatever you want, and they run away with that or something. Because like the weird thing
Ignoring
about
the through lines and the themes kind of traveling through, and
well, it's like with Avatar, and I know we've seen like more egregious examples in the past, and I know not even like I'm drawing a blank now. Lord of the Rings, is perfect. Like that's not a perfect adaptation. Like there's other characters in there that are not in the original movies and stuff. Those are not perfect adaptations, yet everybody loves it. And it's because of human intent, you know what I mean? And you're trying to follow the story. You are trying to follow
or
the
at least
story
trying to honor the story. A
in
lot of
some way.
Yeah. It's like you don't have to adapt things perfectly. In fact, if you do, it probably won't be very good because things change from medium to medium. And so from animation to live action, of course, things would change. Again, at this point, I'm of the opinion, why make a live action version of something if it's not going to be better?
Mm-hmm. And by better,
Oh, okay.
and by
Herman
better,
helps us out here. Yeah.
yeah, and Evely here too. He created Earthworm Jim. That throws me back. Earthworm Jim.
I don't think
Earthworm
I
Jim.
ever read it back in the day, man.
It's
I'll
the
be
reason I
honest.
know what the word abducted means.
Oh,
Because that sounds weird, but it's because
I know from personal experience. No.
well, it's because of like the names of the levels, and one of the names was like utterly abducted. And it was like cow related. The aliens were abducting the cows. And you had to run
It's always
through
the
and
cows for some reason.
yeah, abduct the cows. And I remember like it's just weird. That's weird. The origin of where you first learn words, man.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
words matter. Not because like look at that. This Doug Tenapple guy is inexorably tied to my life now. Like that's weird, I have that
Yeah. There's
memory.
always going to be that connection there.
Like
And
he
like for
thought it.
me, like like a a friend of the family, he's a musician. Whenever I hear a certain sound on acoustic guitar, I think of a mosquito because he has an entire song about all the mosquitoes he had to slap on his arm when he moved out to the valley where my grandma lives. And so now that whenever I hear even a portion of that little sound, I'm like, that's a mosquito.
Yeah, mosquito. Yeah. And I hate mosquitoes, man. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. And Bat Sauce says there's no way to make Avatar better. Just leave it. And that was the point I was going to get to is like, if by better you mean just literally give us the same, like, just give us the story the way it's already well loved. And the only way you could make it better is by making changes that are necessary that can only be made in order to translate it into the live action. Like there's some things that they had to do like in Lord of the Rings, for example, where they had to make like actual decisions that aren't in the book and stuff because it's the only way to film this and stuff like that.
Well,
Like
especially if you're
real
going to be
reasons.
adding to lore, you have to do things in a smart way. Like, look at Rogue One. Not a perfect movie by any means, but it actually added things that made the original series better. It added explanation for things in a way that actually added value, not just thinking about their own individual portion of the Star Wars universe.
Right. Rogue One is famously the only accepted movie by the fandom after Disney. Well, AD. We call it AD after Disney.
And like I was one of those guys. I was really really nice to The Force Awakens too. I didn't hate that movie. In fact, I really enjoyed it in some ways.
Well, the first one actually, it could have set it up in a really cool way. All it had to do was pay it off. Like, yeah, you can upset people because like the prequels did too, right? But the way they unveiled it, like I thought it was pretty cool when he like caught the laser, and like the whole setup, even though he's kind of whiny and all that, the relationship, like, okay, yeah, Han Solo's son and stuff. Okay, yeah, I can get behind some of this because the whole Luke thing wasn't revealed yet, and all that crazy weird stuff was not revealed
Johnson, don't ruin Star Wars for me.
But the way they set it up as a nod, right? He was smart to nod to the original, even though like you can get some criticisms as like a shot for shot remake.
A copy of it. I'm like, yeah, there are things that could have been done very differently.
It's It's poetic though, because like it rhymes. When you do that within the same story, it's called like good writing. It's called like foreshadowing and stuff when you have things rhyme like that, you know.
Well, it's just like that, right? Have you ever tried that writing challenge where the first line of your story is the same line used to end the story, but it's very different because of context?
Isn't that great?
I've seen stories do that. It's fantastic. I love it.
It's great. It's fucking brilliant, dude. And so people will love that thing. But the problem is when you set something up like that, that's trying to act like, well, maybe he was actually being respectful. I shouldn't speak to authorial intent. I am an author. I'm the last person who should speak about other people's intent with their writing. But like, yeah, it came off as at least somewhat respectful at first, at least. And it's the preceding movies after the fact that like, especially the second one, it's just like, fuck all this. And then the third one, fuck it more, double down. You know what I mean? So.
I will say if episodes 7 and 8, or no, 8 and 9 were really good, people be very, very forgiving of The Force Awakens. I'll stand by that.
Yeah.
Because if they were able to follow it up and actually transform and make it better in some way, maybe follow some of the stuff from the EU books, like the early Jedi Temple, and maybe, who knows, their Heir of the Empire, they could have gone a whole bunch of different directions. And they certainly went a direction, didn't they?
They did. And, you know, it really says something about the future of a company and a huge IP like that when as soon as they acquire it, one of the first things they do is look at it and they say, okay, well, we're going to decanonize all this. Like, whoa, the first thing you're going to do is change things before you've even created anything with it. Like, you just bought it and the first thing you're doing is deleting a bunch of the lore. Or like, what? Yep. Even if it's like extended universe or whatever, you know, like that's still like stories that contributors to the universe, you know, have put in. So, and I mean, they ended up ripping them off anyway. Like, what?
In a very bad way. It's a very poor imitation, taking a lot of
vandalism,
non-essential elements. Yeah, vandalize is actually a very good descriptor of it. And something you said sparked something in me. The little sweet baby company talking about, oh, we want to be additive. No, we don't want to be just strictly corrective. I'm like, I don't think that's true. You guys add things and then you restrict other things
and openly correct things. When you literally make a direct like change, like cut this and do this instead, and it's blatant in the writing and the progression of like the plot and stuff like that, and from past games to this game that you're working on, the comparison, stuff like that, you can literally see direct intervention. It's almost like their hand is right there being guided, you know,
100%. Yeah,
their hand is right there, just like moving shit around and shuffling the deck, you know, and they're acting like they're like the blackjack dealer that's like, what are you talking about? They're just gaslighting. Like, no, I didn't touch that deck. I didn't touch the cards. You didn't see anything, you know.
It's like, I watched you, bro. What are you talking? Also, that brings up a good point. People were willing to let Star Wars have a trash movie, but not back-to-back trash movies for 5 years.
So true.
Yes.
So true. Yeah.
Super
forgiving. Super forgiving.
I love, to this day, I love Star Wars. There are things I really love about Star Wars, but they've made it so hard to enjoy it now. Like every time I'm watching a YouTube video and another crappy Star Wars mobile game commercial comes up, I swear at the screen at this point. I'm like, stop like throwing the dead corpse of a previously loved thing in front of my face every time, man. It pisses me off.
So, I agree, man. I have thoughts on that. It reminds me of a post I saw criticizing Dune, and when you scroll down, you find out this tiny ass account that is just like a talking head for Star Wars or something, because they just immediately go into like, it's like Dune criticization post tags Stephen Colbert underneath. Like the next two tweets are like, "Have you checked out the newest hot Star Wars headline? Here's another Star Wars thing." And I'm just like, "Whoa! Tell me you're like somehow related to Disney and like the whole sphere without telling me. You know, like some money's trickling down here in some way. And like, what's your incentive here? You know,
imagine being this obvious. Wow, guys, have you seen how trash the new successful Dune movie is? Also, have you guys seen this hot new Star Wars mobile game? Join now.
Yeah, dude.
Raid Shadow Legends or something like that.
For real.
Oh,
and that's
so
kind of like what it was. And I'm just like, this is super cringe. Is this a bot or something? But yeah, I digress. Hey, I see in the chat there, Evele asked Bat Sauce what his book was called. So here's his book, Evele. You can find it on Amazon.
The Planet of Babel, Dawn's Edge, or Dawn Edge. There we go.
Dawn Edge, yes. Planet Babel. Yeah, he co-wrote it with his wife. We had him on last night. It's pretty
I
awesome.
only saw a part of that. That's cool. I didn't know he co-wrote it with his wife.
Oh yeah, pretty cool conversation overall. Dude's a nice guy.
No, he's based. I've seen his YouTube content. It's worthwhile as well.
Yeah, I still got to go subscribe and stuff. But hey, Bat Sauce, if you message me your YouTube stuff, I will toss it in the chat for everybody. I'm just saying, I have my
can even do
Twitter
it here
open
as we talk as well. It's not that hard.
Oh, in the private chat. Okay, yeah, whatever's clever. Yeah. Whatever's clever. Yeah. So this post, it was Neil deGrasse Tyson talking shit about Dune. I don't know if you saw that.
He can. I have a lot of opinions.
Ooh, I got thoughts on him.
Very few of them good.
Yeah, I got thoughts on him. I used to look up to the guy because he said some pretty cool stuff, and he's talking about a lot of stuff I'm interested in, like the universe. When he's trying to convince you of something, he's very like mystical sounding and really just interesting, and it works.
Treats science as a religion.
That's the thing. Yeah. And I've talked about this on the podcast before, but he's just like subscribing to a lot of pseudoscience and very non-scientific beliefs recently. And then he has the nerve to go on like the Colbert Show and criticize.
Say less. He went on the Colbert Show of all shows, really.
Well, yeah, it's because it's the only safe space left. Because when he goes on any podcast, the first thing people ask him is about these crazy ideologies that he is like staunchly defending, and he gets all huffy and emotional and reacts poorly, and then the internet clips it to hell and back, and it doesn't look good.
Yeah,
it doesn't look good. No.
And plus, like he's another one of those scientists. He talks about these scientific ideas, like, and the thing is, most of these aren't proven ideas. They're theories,
right?
And like blueprints of how things could possibly work. But these people, they talk about it like it's fact or like it's decidedly mathematically proven 100%. It's like, what do we really know? Like, what could we possibly know about what's 100 million light years away? It's a guess, maybe uneducated, but it is still just a guess. We have no idea what this wonderful, vast universe has in store for us, or even like we don't even fully understand how the human body works. How can we possibly understand something so far beyond our, like, what's directly in front of us?
The brain, like, what's consciousness? Like, there's a whole bunch of crazy stuff, and we don't even know what's in our oceans.
I know.
We have more than yeah. So math is the universal language, and you can extrapolate a lot from it. Like, I am the first person to defend science. That's one of my biggest criticisms with Tyson is how anti-science he has become. You know what I mean? So, like, I get the whole distaste for the priestly attitude he holds, but like, I don't know, man. When you're just like, what, you're just gonna talk. You're gonna go on Colbert and talk about Dune and criticize it? Why? Because everybody loves it.
It's a successful,
like, on both sides.
Series. It inspired my favorite fiction series of all time. Again, it inspired. It is not my favorite, but it did inspire my favorite series of all time. It's freaking tremendous, man.
Which is what?
Red Rising by Pierce Brown. Emotionally resonant. Some of the best naming I've ever seen in any book series. There's a total of 6. There's a trilogy and then a second trilogy that turned into a quadrilogy. He did something in that second quadrilogy I've never seen in a book series this big and popular before. You know, like how in fantasy or sci-fi books they see, it's like there's this tendency, almost all authors have it. It's like the next book just gets bigger and bigger and more epic and more this, more that. It has to become more in every way each book.
Yeah,
It's a trend we've seen in a lot of stories.
I can show you like book 1 of Game of Thrones, and it's like this, and then book 5 is like that. You know what I mean?
And they almost all do that.
Yeah.
And so, like in the second quadrilogy, he did something very special, very different. He had a book one of that trilogy, or that's not quadrilogy, and it's bigger and more in depth and more gritty in some ways than the OG trilogy. Second book is called Dark Age, and it's one of the darkest books that I can still enjoy. It's hard to read. It's horrible stuff. And then third book, it's called Lightbringer, and it's a book about self-reflection of a man who is forced to become this conquering war hero in a galaxy in a war that causes the deaths of billions of people. And so the book is like, it's short. It's as short as some of the books in the first series, and it's lighter and it's reflective. It's very different. I've never seen a series like this do this in this way before. But anyway, sorry, I went off on the tangent.
No, I love your tangents, bro. It's that's what we're here for. We trade tangents and we become enlightened. That's what we do here. That's what we do here.
Also,
Talk about stuff.
Resident One, that's Boncher, asked about my goggles. What goggles? These are my brother glasses from the wrestling back in the day. The gleam rises to the top.
So, you were a Street Fighter.
I've never called myself that title, but I got in a lot of street fights and got a lot of people hurt. Mostly not me. It was not I was probably 15 to 17. I was in a lot of street fights. I never got hospitalized, but I was very lucky.
You did the hospitalizing.
After I did really bad one time, I stopped, and that was it.
So
it's not worth it.
Got you. Okay, so
yeah, I can ask me questions, man. I'm not ashamed of it now, but it was there's a reason I stopped. Some very valuable reasons, and yeah.
So this is just all I imagine here. That's just all I can imagine, you know. That's what I assume. You don't feel free to not correct me, because I'm just gonna assume.
I either had a mullet or no hair, so somewhere in between what this is and
I was close.
That would have looked like, yeah.
Okay. You ever get the old Hadouken?
I had a punch that looked very similar. My strongest punch was actually with my non-dominant hand, and it only would work when I got in really close. But I was able to something about that position. I was able to put my whole body into it, and if people had got that punch, it was pretty much it.
Bro, so if you were gonna tell me that, like, I was never hospitalized, but I saw it a lot, I would be like, yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me at all. Have you seen Kahuna? He's got the biggest stature here.
I'm not even that big. I'm a large guy, but I'm only like 6 foot plus, not even 6'1". But I've been this big since I was in 7th grade. So I was like, at this time, I would have been between 180, 190. I had wrestling background, judo and jiu-jitsu, and then I learned boxing, and then it was all over. But yeah.
So what you're saying is we need to have you at like any Iron Age convention, just for our safety. Just for our safety. Yeah.
Yes.
It's just safer with Kahuna. But yeah, it's funny. It's so funny. You used to be a Street Fighter. That's how I'm just going to refer to it as. That was a profession.
I'm okay. I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
16, 17-year-old.
If you're a D&D character, that's your background.
Yes.
Great setup for a barbarian class right off the bat. Like, you can see why you're so important for a party. But
it's fun. Will both of you check your DMs, please? Says Royce. Is he sending us weird, inappropriate anime things again?
He might be. I guess I'll check my DM.
Sweet.
Oh, Hey Royce, can I pull this up? Is that cool, buddy? I'm gonna get it ready to share just in case you say okay. But yeah, he sent me a thing.
Yeah, he sent me a thing too. I'm glad you got one too.
It might have been the same thing. Oops, sharing the wrong. That would have been.
And Evely, I'm sure I could now, but it's not. I don't like hurting people, man. It's a very, very. Okay, no, don't share it. Don't share it.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Clicking out. Clicking out. All right. Yeah, that is very interesting. This thing that you sent me. Okay. Can I describe it without the private info? I'm gonna catch up on the phone. I hope Royce isn't making videos with his new goats. He has new goats. Hail JVP Music. Welcome. Also,
JVP, welcome to the stream.
And he says he challenges Kahuna to a Chinese wrestling death match, except we live and drink beer after.
What makes a wrestling match Chinese, JVP? I'm just curious. Do we have to make Bruce Lee sounds? Is that how we do it? Do we have to spread bad viruses across the globe? Is that what we have to do first? Oh, I'm gonna get canceled.
I wanna see that match, bro. I wanna see it. So the thing that
he has the hair of power, man. He has the strength of Samson. I've seen him, man. Yeah.
He has the hair, yeah, and he has music on his side. Like the Norse gods, bro. You better get right with some of the.
I have the power of God and anime on my side.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. The Norse gods are looking at him like, dude, that guy can play some metal. We're all about it. So this thing that Royce sent is a poster. It says, "You're invited to a drink with crazy barbecue on a day I won't say, at a location that I won't say too." And yeah, let's see. It has the details.
There are words on this thing that was sent. There and numbers. Don't forget the numbers.
Food there. We live in this place, and yeah, freaking A, dude. Yeah, dude. It's an official invitation and everything, and I think I will see you there, brother.
I think we'll need to do some rooming up as well, just for cost efficiency. Evely and I were talking about that earlier, so yeah, that's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah, I'm all about that. I'm gonna have to bring, I don't know, something nerdy to do with everybody, round everybody up, get super nerdy.
I have nerdy and non-nerdy. Like, if you lived closer, I would just take my bike with a hammock. I'd be down for that, man.
That's so awesome, dude. Bike and a hammock.
Who's never done adventure riding, dude? It's expensive, but it's such a fun thing to do, man. It's like my buddy, his wife, she loves backpacking, which means like actually going out there for days at a time. I'm like, I don't think, besides the fact that I'm overweight, I'm a lard out there trying to climb a mountain. It's just, it doesn't sound as much fun. On a motorcycle, you can see all the beautiful things very quickly at a higher speed, and that's enough for me.
Well, there's no like car blocking you. It's just you're in nature as you're riding around.
And also, you don't have to pack that much food, because even on the most intensive adventure rides, like in the States, you have to go to a gas station at least once every 2 days anyway. So you can just grab more food. You don't have to pack like buckets and buckets worth of food. It's not as tough as people think.
You're making me want to go camping. Me and my wife went out to the Black Hills in South Dakota when we were coming back on our honeymoon. This is right when Minnesota lit on fire.
Yeah.
Like we came back right when that happened. It was like the day or two before.
Traveling honeymoons are like that, man. A friend of mine, when he and his wife got right around the time I was born, actually, they were on their honeymoon in Hawaii, and they traveled from island to island just ahead of Hurricane Iniki, just ahead of it, like within 24 hours of it. And so they saw all these beautiful places and barely avoided like this trans-island destruction.
Oh my god, dude. Bro. Speaking of island destruction, we gotta talk about the Maui stuff, like off stream or on stream or something at some point. Just like all the weird all the weird stuff.
I got a bunch of weird stuff, man.
Yeah, I gotta look into it a little bit, but yeah, I think it's worth mining a little bit and shedding a little light on, just because I think it's something everybody can get behind.
Yeah,
for instance.
100%. Or even, it's like there's so much stuff out there that's very subjective, and you need to know more facts before you, like, people are just too quick to usher an opinion on something they don't know much about. But every
Yeah.
now and again, there's something, and you're like, this is so blatantly fraudulent or unjust or bad
Mhm.
that even like any context you find is going to make it worse, not better.
Right. Kind of like Neil
Yeah.
Neil deGrasse's take.
Anytime he opens his mouth, yeah.
Yeah. Bro, he was trying to say the worms don't make sense, and it explains it not only in the book, but in the movie. It does explain it in the movie. And as a scientist, you should know what liquidization is, or fluidization. There's two different terms for it, but
We have
essentially
the best
vibrations.
fluids. I have a
Yeah,
very
it's
Trump
not
understanding of
sand.
science.
It's not alien sand with spice in it. It's fluids. No, it's fluidization. You run vibrations through sand, and the shit turns into water, and it's dry. Like, it looks like water and acts like it. Actually, the reason
That floods in the deserts, even in America, have been caused by stuff like that, even by like small earthquakes and localized things like that. You'll see these little lakes pop up.
What?
Yeah.
What? Tell me more
Yeah,
about that.
I don't know much about it. I'm not a scientist. And it may be wrong. That's just something I heard, but yeah. No, sudden floods in the desert. Like the desert it has two states. Not enough moisture or way too much. Because a lot of the
Wow.
moisture, it's there, it's just underground, probably pretty deep. And so it'll rain and then some geological event will happen, and then suddenly the floodwaters will appear. And like these areas that look like they've never seen water before will be flooded. You'll see cars in Southern California, you'll see pictures every year of cars that were just like hip deep in mud and never be able to recover their value because of how damaged they are.
Oh,
And it's
wow.
like I'm not even talking like sometimes roads. I've seen pictures of roads disappearing too.
Huh. That's fucking wild, dude. And it makes so much sense too. Like, it's actually horrifying when you look at it happening. Like, for those who haven't seen it, it's very eye-opening. It's like the magic of nature and God happening right in front of you, because it is simply vibrations. Okay, it is simply vibrations, and you're watching something that's a solid, like, dry thing become a liquid. Check the funny one. Actually, they were totally being serious in the video, but after I saw Tyson's take on this, I went and looked it up. And there's another funny video where somebody's like, "Oh, proof of liquidization," and they have just like a Tupperware of sand, and they're like digging through the sand. They put like an egg in it, and then like a heavier thing on the other side. Yeah, and they bury the egg in the sand, and they just set the other heavier thing on top of it, and then they just tap it, and you see the egg slowly rise to the surface, and the heavy thing slowly sink down, like the rock sinks down and the egg rises up.
Because the egg isn't as dense as the sand.
Exactly. And he was proving liquidization, but the comments were hilarious. It's like, so the earth just smacks the Tupperware onto the table, and that's how it works. Yeah, it was hilarious.
That's the secret of Dune. Yeah.
Yeah. But when you think about it, like the worm, right? That's a lot of vibrations happening right there. And then here's the other thing. It's alien sand. It's alien. It's a fictional alien world. Like,
well, even here, look at kinetic sand and look how differently it behaves from regular sand. It's completely it's not the same thing, even if it looks similar.
Right.
Or actually, AC, I have another comparison here. Snow. If anyone's ever been in a snowdrift where they collapsed or in an avalanche, it turns into liquid. That's the technique. When you're in an avalanche, you swim. That's how you stay on top. Because once it stops, it's solid as ice, and you cannot dig on your own.
Because all the individual ice particles are in motion, and there's air and space between them.
Yeah, literally, you swim. That's how you're supposed to stay on top of it. And so when it comes to a stop, hopefully your head's not underneath, because if you don't have help, you're done. That's it.
Wow, dude. Yeah, and I when I saw that, I was just like, this post is hilarious. Everybody was just dunking and debunking, and like it, it even explained it in the book and right there in the movie. So, and the dude's become kind of famous for just trying to talk shit about movies. Hedge says it best here. He just plays on YouTube videos. That's
Oh
it.
yeah.
He just plays YouTube. And that's true. Mudslides have been a thing in California for a while.
Yeah. My parents are down there right now. They go down like every single year to like the Palm Springs kind of Borrego area. It's a weird place, man, with some very strange people. But it's enjoyable for a vacation. I like it.
Yeah. And a Resident One just adds in that the guy was hanging out in a very particular type of fracking sand, which I'm assuming is finer. If you're gonna make
I'll be honest, I don't know what fracking means. I don't. It's a word. I've heard it, but I don't really understand it.
doesn't that mean like, you like pump particles or water or whatever, you pump something into cracks and then it like blows them open more, or is it
that the
where
phrasing we're going with?
Or is it where you drill holes and like drop dynamite? I don't really know what it is.
He says it's
Resonant
a very
one.
special type of sand. It rides the short bus, is what he's saying.
Special sand, yes.
Oh,
yes.
Holy smokes, man.
So I digress about Dune. I watched the movie. Very good. There's actually some people who say that there's one of the versions that were already made is still their favorite. So that's got me curious. What did I miss?
The 1984 version with
no, the sci-fi short original series version or something, like the cheapo sci-fi one. Yeah, the Sci-Fi Channel.
That might have been the one I'm thinking of. It was done in the 80s. I believe it was 84 with Kurt Russell maybe or something like that.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Well,
I can look it up too. It's not.
It made me wonder because like I heard that like nobody has done it justice, and this new Dune seems like it was doing it justice. Like I remember going over the first one kind of with a fine-tooth comb, and there was some little slight variations. But the thing is there's a lot of things in Dune that are kind of abstract, which is why people have had struggled creating it. Why a lot of it looks so different too. Just like look at the
there's a lot going on. It's a very large fantasy, like a sci fantasy kind of universe. Yeah 1984 Dune the film. Frank Herbert has Patrick Stewart, Virginia Madsen, Linda Hunt,
I could see Patrick Stewart as Leto. How do you beat
Kyle
that?
MacLachlan?
McLaughlin?
Right. Yeah. There's a whole bunch of people in this movie. No, that's interesting, man.
So Resident One says this type of sand is spherical in nature. It has incredible strength. They hold the cracks opened by hydrostatic pressure when getting natural gas. Interesting. Very interesting. Static.
Thank you, Boncher.
Yes, thank you, Boncher, my fellow Wisconsinite. So static is actually a big part of this. So think about sand, right? Quartz doesn't generate, but it conducts electricity through. It has conductive properties, and it's piezoelectric, which means you can take vibrations and you can turn vibrations into energy.
That's what conversion.
Yes, and like it carries the energy through the vibrations, and quartz is very famous for this. Now, if these worms are essentially so massive and causing essentially biological vibrations to the point where they can swim through the sand like it's water, that's a lot of static electricity being generated at the same time. So a lot of the depictions of Dune, and I really wish they would have leaned into this with such a huge cinematic piece like this. It kind of shows that it kind of shows that they didn't go deep enough, which has me a little worried. And now I'm kind of like looking at these people that are like, oh, the old one's still my favorite. Like, I can kind of see that if there's more that they could have done that was missed out. Because like the description, bro, like think of all that static electricity. That means when these worms emerge, they bring a fucking sandstorm with them, with lightning, lightning and shit. Dude, no wonder they worship them. You know what I mean?
Well, look at the monster verse with Godzilla. It's like King Ghidorah. He's so large that he creates a hurricane just by existing. There's so much energy built up there. And like when you start getting into like the theoretical ideas of all these creatures that are so large, they're large and in charge. Yeah, it makes it you have to start considering things on a different scale.
Well, and it would make the scene where Paul, you know, eventually rises up. You know, Dune's been out since the '60s, so I can talk about this. But
Yes.
so it makes the scene when like the rebels charge the base and stuff on the backs of the worms, the grand climax of just the thing everybody's been waiting for. Let's see these let's see these worms fuck some shit up. You know what I mean?
We're gonna look at these worms and see what they do.
It makes it totally apocalyptic when you put a giant sandstorm behind it or in front of them that's just full of lightning and stuff. You could have like glass everywhere because of just the lightning melting everything and stuff, and just like it makes it apocalyptic. It turns that whole scene into a hellscape. And
absolutely, man.
Oh man, like for as much as I like the new ones, it makes me kind of like, let me see the next one. Like, who's next? I want to see.
Well, there are a lot of books. I've only read the first one, but yeah, it's good. The problem is, it's like because he was a Dune and Frank Herbert, it's a giant. Some of the people who have stood on the shoulders of giants have gotten to higher heights in regards to storytelling, in my opinion, even though I do really enjoy Dune.
Like people inspired by it?
Yes.
Oh yeah, Star Wars is a great example.
Bunch, yeah.
Star Wars is a great example.
And you even have some that are even more directly, like you have Red Rising, you have, and then, what's the other one? I think Foundation might have been written before that, but Foundation reminds me of certain political aspects of it and this future kind of scape. The Sun Eater trilogy is is definitely inspired by the galactic scale of Dune and how the traveling works. Like, what would it take for humanity to travel across millions of light years? Even if we have the technology, like let's consider that. It's like in the Sun Eater trilogy or the series, the main character, it's like, oh, we have to travel there. It's like it's not even all the way across the known like human colonized universe, but we're gonna have to go into cryo, and it's gonna mean that my brother, who is now younger than me, will now be 54 years older than me. If I ever see him again.
That aspect makes me really excited to delve into sci-fi, because I always told myself there's two things that I would do when I finally jump on the sci-fi wagon, and that's, number one, magic is going to be real in it. That's the twist, is it's going to feel very fantasy because I'm a fantasy writer, and that's like where a lot of my roots are. But I'm also, sci-fi is a lot of my roots too. So for various reasons that I don't need to like go through all right now, but like I would make magic real, and like demons real, and all that stuff that seems very not sci-fi is like real in the sci-fi universe. It would
it just maybe people misinterpret, or they see things like someone brought up to me like in church a long time ago. It's like, if demons ever showed themselves physically to the whole of mankind, most people would probably think they were aliens, right?
Right.
Yeah.
They might even look like aliens.
I've heard really good things about Hyperion. I really need to read that book. That book is goated. From everybody who's read it says it's one of the best sci-fi books ever written.
I've heard good things too. Very good stuff. I also gotta check it out. The other thing I was gonna say is I would have magic real. You're right about the demons and stuff, that they probably think they're aliens or something. But at the same time, I would also. Have you ever played RimWorld? The game RimWorld?
Isn't that what inspired Halo?
No. Is it? No. RimWorld is an indie game on Steam.
Okay, no. I was thinking of Ringworld. I think that's an old book.
Oh, series. Ringworld. Yeah, I said RIM, like rim
no,
job.
I got you. I heard it wrong. Yeah.
Ringworld. Also got to look into that. I got to look into a lot of the greats, quote unquote.
There's a lot of like sci-fi. Like if you go back far enough, it's not different from fantasy. But if you go back just a little ways, you see how it finally became its own distinct thing. Like you get the likes of Isaac Asimov, and like with his Foundation and iRobot stuff. It's like, let's ask these questions and let's like theorize or show this possible future that kind of explores the fears and the anxiety that people have. about things moving forward. Like reading iRobot now in the world like where AI is becoming more prominent, it hits different now that
Oh,
that stuff actually kind of exists. I don't like it. I've never liked it.
even Blade Runner, dude. Black Mirror aged like, yeah, dude, it aged so well.
Crap,
But
dude.
yeah, so RimWorld. The reason I bring it up is because you mentioned cryostasis as a means to travel, right? So I would. That's the other thing, because when you say sci-fi, and don't let me forget too much about what you said about how sci-fi and fantasy are tied together, because I have a thought on that too. But I just wanted to stay on my original point to get past it.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So when you say sci-fi, you got to like answer, how do people travel through space? Essentially, that's one of the questions. You know what I mean? And I started with, magic is actually real, angels, demons, etc., whatever. But then there's also that question you got to answer. And I think I'm leaning towards some sort of traditional element, like how like Dune and other super realistic sci-fi things.
At least wearing the coat of realism. It's like we're gonna at
Yeah.
least try to give an explanation for these questions.
I don't want to get too close to Dune and like Warhammer, because like they Warhammer, you can tell directly got its idea from Dune, because it's like I'm using psychic energy to see where the safe places to navigate the universe are, but it's not like warp speed or anything, right? I think Dune.
It is the warp. They enter through a portal into the warp,
Right,
and then there's a psyker that.
But they got to
guides them
find.
through.
They find the portal, right? The portal's there already, and they have to go. They have to navigate and find it with their psychic energy, or do they rip open a hole and just go?
Both.
Okay, yeah, okay.
More
So
heavy.
Dune is, let's find the things, let's find the freeways, right? And then we can.
Yeah.
I think that's my understanding, but like I said, it's been a while since I read it. Anyway, I don't want to like harp on about Dune lore and all this, but like, yeah, something realistic like that, where it's very largely like, hey, let's go find this place that allows us to go to the other place quickly, and until we get to that place, we're just gonna like be in stasis essentially. And the reason for that is, in the game RimWorld, which is the whole premise of it, is it you just crash land on a RimWorld, okay? And every game is procedurally generated and different. So it generates an entire planet for you, filled with just like hundreds, thousands of hexes. Each hex is a map. Each map has resources. It's crazy. And it's like a colony builder. You just like build and manage a colony, and you can do whatever on the planet, like meet the other tribes.
And you expand in the name of human innovation and democracy.
Well, yes, or you just try to fix your ship and leave without interfering with anybody, right? Because it's like Star Trek rules. Yeah, it's however you want to play it. You could just sit there and farm human beings for their organs if you want. It's totally, yeah, dude. They totally give you freedom. But the cool thing, what really captures my imagination about this, is not only can you get into it, immerse yourself, because like I said, it's procedurally generated. That includes every body part on each of the characters is like broken down statistically. So you can get like your right eye gouged out by a bear, right? Okay. You can get cirrhosis of the liver. You can get one bad lung, right? You can get your index finger blown off by a shotgun. Yes. So it has all these crazy things that happen. Your little people have like thoughts of their own almost, and you're not even really playing as much as you are just managing them. So a lot of it is
God, basically.
You're God, and you're watching this colony unfold, and essentially, I don't know, I guess communicating with them and telling them what to do, or like what they should prioritize rather.
Offering guidance.
Yeah, and one of the cool things is, if you like, when you look at how humans are planning on going on Mars, and also the most effective way to play RimWorld, the meta, it is, and this is our actual plan right now. You can look into like SpaceX and stuff and find this.
Elon Musk and such.
Yeah, you find the volcanic tunnels that exist on whatever planetoid that you're planning on landing on. Hopefully it used to have seismic activity, which would give it ancient hollowed out volcanic tunnels. You find these tunnels, and what it does is the caves protect you from any latent radiation and bad weather and stuff like that. They're insulated. There's countless reasons to go into these caves, and it's all the same reasons to go into to make a cave on RimWorld. It's insulated because heat is the thing. Like you're safe and you're protected when when slavers.
There's no atmosphere or little atmosphere.
Exactly. And you can create your own inside of like the caves. Just build like a vault essentially. Whatever. And yeah, like when raiders attack, it's like how are you gonna blow open the side of the cave? Like it's a mountain. We burrowed into the mountain. You know what I mean? So I bring all that up because the cool aspect. Good night, Evele. Thanks for stopping by,
Good
brother.
night, brother.
The cool aspect about all that is you dig into these caves, you can find ancient structures. Like you'll be mining and you'll come across like a worked master crafted wall and you're like, whoa, and then when you smash through that, it's like the whole game just turns super sci-fi and you find like it's like a spaceship almost. And there's all these sarcophaguses with like who knows what's inside of it.
Alien.
And when you open it up, you don't know if they're going to be hostile. Usually it's infested with all these alien bugs like Starship Troopers or xenomorphs. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you clear all those out, you open up the sarcophagus, you don't know what you're going to get. Anyway, that always captured my imagination because it's like it says the age of these people on there. It says what their professions are. It should like it's telling a story by what clothes they're wearing, what weapons they have. Like they're like 10,000 years old sometimes. They've just been frozen in the sarcophagus inside of a mountain surrounded by bugs this whole time or whatever. And that's just like, fascinating to me. So like I would do something like RimWorld Colony Survivor. Magic's real. It's sci-fi. You can already see it'd probably be really gritty. And
ancient civilizations, but spiritual ties between different places across time, even maybe.
You got it, brother. You got it. It's like, so that's my whole spiel on that. Like I absolutely love like cryo sleep is probably the route I go just to have that.
It's an interesting. It gives some good opportunity for interesting storytelling because again, it's like say like main character leaves a planet. His younger brother never leaves the planet, so he never has to enter cryosleep. He comes back at some point. His brother is now an old man, and now he still has the experience and the youth of a young man.
And didn't they do that in Interstellar, I think, where it's like the planet gravity?
Time is it's connected differently. I actually haven't seen Interstellar all the way. People love that movie, and it's fine. It did not capture me the way it did a lot of other people. I don't know why.
I understand. I haven't rewatched it, if that makes sense. I liked it, and it's fine, like you said, but like I haven't rewatched it.
I did watch Arrival. I guess
good.
I guessed that's a good movie. I figured out what was going on. I was a little bit off, but I guessed like within 5 minutes. I almost pretty much knew what was going on with that movie. I'm like, something's not right. My sister was like, "You're so close." Like,
yeah, that's a good fucking movie, dude. Very realistic too.
A very, very cool movie.
Like you could see that happening tomorrow, and it's like, yep.
It felt like a Michael Crichton book. Like if you read a book like Sphere or something like that, like it's like, what is this thing? Is this us from the future? Is this an alien? What is this thing? Why
with a little Lovecraft. There's a little Lovecraft in there because you don't know. You never like.
It never answers for sure.
Yeah. And it's just so mysterious. Even when you see the aliens, aren't they just like weird shadows and like it's in a fog?
Weird tentacle kind of shapes, and
you never see it. Yeah. That's great. Bad Sauce. You said they travel through hell. Bad Sauce, Mr. Bad Sauce.
He's talking about Warhammer. Yeah, the Warp is basically it's chaos given form. It's the realm of chaos. Anytime there's a psychic person in 40K, it's because they have some sort of link to chaos. They don't have to subscribe to the chaos gods. In fact, the way it works is the emperor of mankind kind of becomes a psychic god entity, even after his own death, because of the worship of him, and how that religion of worship spreads throughout the Imperium of man, and it offers protection against the malevolent forces of chaos. There's a lot going on there.
That's super interesting, actually, because I thought, like, at first I was like, that would be a dope idea for the the sci-fi I'm building a little bit. Like,
You can still do it, because even if you like, it's going to come out differently than how it does in in another thing. It's like, I'm going back to the Sun Eater series. There is this race. I'm not going to call them evil, even though I'm tempted to, of these cybernetic beings, and they tell people, even long-lived people with genetic enhancement, that they can prolong their life or transfer their consciousness into someone else's body, or a clone of themselves, younger perhaps. And then you find out that the leader of this like cybernetic race that's been around since the beginning of mankind, it's AI, but it's biology, not mechanical. They figured
I
out,
did that.
yeah,
I did that.
they figured out it's like the human brain is a powerful computer if they are just able to expand it. And so basically there's this lake in this ancient pyramid on this moon, and the lake is filled with this giant brain and with different body part appendages. The lake is to keep it cool while it processes all the information that it has across the universe. It's like, bro.
That's cool. It's a giant, like, it's a Great Lake.
It's a large lake. It's underground in a pyramid on an alien moon.
Oh, okay. That's
fantastic.
and
then it is operating as a third party between humanity and this race of aliens that they are in combat with across the universe, because it's considered a non-biased third party. It has no connection to, it has no love of humans or the aliens, at least not more than itself.
a little bit of foreshadowing there for real life, because it's just, here's what we're gonna see, Kahuna. And you don't got to call me a prophet, but what we're gonna see, is an AI CEO or something like that. We're gonna start seeing AI. Yeah, dude, we're gonna start seeing AI in leadership positions, and it's just a matter of time before a country takes exactly what you just said and says, "Hey, this is our AI president," because it's not biased.
And that's such a mistake. I've seen Terminator. I know how this goes. Bat Sauce, that will be the Sun Eater series. It's about a main character. Because of his genetics and lordly lineage, he's been alive for something like 1,500 years, like active living, not including cryo sleep. And it's the whole story is told through his journal as he thinks back to these times. With his genetically perfect memory, he can remember everything that ever happened to him. And so it's him reciting the story of his life and adventures, and eventually how he created technology that could kill a sun, and how he used that in warfare. And I haven't even gotten there yet, dude, but it's insane. A CEO with 7 fingers on one hand and 12 fingers on the other.
Yeah, the CEO wouldn't understand hands. The AI CEO wouldn't understand hands.
Oh, okay, I got it.
It would be really racist too. It would be super racist to not understand hands.
Bat Sauce, it is a trip, but it is worth reading. Like, yeah, give it a read. Tell me.
And what was that series again, Kahuna?
The Sun Eater series.
The Sun Eater series. Yeah, this is right up Bat Sauce's alley.
Raffacio or something. I'm not sure, but yeah,
this is right up
series. Yeah,
right up Bat Sauce's alley, because he was telling me last night on stream that his book has an AI in it. So that's all I'll say. I don't want to it has an AI. Yeah. And what you were saying,
Bontress does this too, but he's a lot more malevolent. He's a very benevolent. He's he gave himself an upgrade, so he has a southern accent and talks like a good old boy.
That's cool. Bat Sauce's one is benevolent also.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a big eye on his book, so you can.
I saw that. It's a bleeding eye on a planet. I don't know what I smoked, but it's going to be good.
Evele, chimes in with the perfect. Evele.
He chimes in with these.
Yeah, I love that. So speaking of alien struggles, back to Halo. Okay, so I checked it out, brother, and let me tell you, this is something else, because I really like that I was able to watch Halo and Dune and Avatar, all kind of around the same time, because it was a really good, insightful moment to take in. Like, Dune may not have been perfect, but it was a bunch of people who, yes, they were caring about cinema, and like, even though there's some stuff, sure, whatever, that's exactly everybody's reaction. There's some stuff, sure, whatever, when you do it right, and when you care, and when you're respectful and stuff. Now, Halo, okay, so like right away in the first 15 minutes, they do away with a lot. They're just like, we're gonna change some stuff, and that's kind of like what the first episode. That's kind of what the first episode is exactly trying to like say here. Yeah. Hey guys, we're just gonna throw the book out the window. We're just gonna throw everything that has made this a successful thing already away, and just really only use the visuals and like some of the names, you know.
It's honestly just wallpaper. It's wallpaper. It's not the substance of what they're, because it's just pale imitation. It's like, it's the same thing as like why people race swap characters. It's because they want the audience and the legacy of that character to be attached to whatever story they want to write. The problem is they aren't writing good stories. Yes. And that's about it, man. It, like in the Halo series, it's kind of the same way. It's like, we want to make a quick buck. Let's use this very popular thing and do our own thing with it. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. And the sad thing is it's not making a quick buck. You're losing millions of dollars. That's what you're going to do. That's what you're going to do. Yeah. And it's funny seeing like in association with 343 Industries, in partnership with Nickelodeon. It's like, say anything you want. Say whatever you want, because like One Piece wasn't even perfect. I'll say that. Like I watched that, everybody loved it.
I have no love of one. I have no attachment to One Piece whatsoever, in any capacity.
Well, I enjoyed watching it. It was some of my, I brushed up against One Piece here and there throughout my life as like, but I always like had my childhood anime as like Dragon Ball or Full Metal Alchemist,
Cowboy Bebop, yeah,
stuff like that. Yeah, so. Unfortunately, as much as I would have loved to get into it, because once I start learning about like the world building and stuff, it becomes really cool. And it's what pirate anime? Count me in. Pirate anime? You know what I mean? So, and that's kind of like what a lot of animes are. Like for example, Vinland Saga is Viking anime, and you say a word and you put anime.
Western ideas viewed through a Eastern eye, and I have a lot of problems with.
I know you do. That's why I mentioned it. That's why I mentioned it. Yeah. No. I know. I gotcha. Resident One.
That's right. Resident One. Yarr.
Agreed. I concur.
You best be believing in ghost stories, Miss Turner. You're in one.
You're in one. Dude, how great was like the first Pirates
he was
movie.
Such a good actor, dude. I love that.
And then how great of a villain is Davy Jones?
Davy Jones he's a very good villain. Like I still think that none of the movies lived up to the quality and balance of the first, but
I'll agree.
Davy Jones was a very good villain, and I feel like they had two ways to go after the first one. They could up the fantasy or or ground the fantasy, and they definitely upped the fantasy element by quite a few degrees from movie one to the others. Yeah. And then by the end, they're like riding a magical ship, like in the middle of a split ocean with the daughters and the moon and a whole bunch of weird stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell happened to this series? Oh.
Yeah, it got pretty off the rails. Like it goes from just like a curse to Davy Jones and Calypso, the god. And since the god exists, they just run away with that. And they're Poseidon and all that.
Yeah, Davy Jones' Law. Yeah, no, they had some cool ideas. I do wonder if they maybe should have kept it more grounded moving forward. Like, if they could have struck that balance, like, there's mysticism and there's magic, but it's not the only thing there is in this story. Like, there's a lot more going on. And I don't know, I'm being a little harsh on it, especially considering how bad so many sequels and prequels are now. I look very favorably on book 2 and 3, or the movie 2 and 3. Of that OG trilogy.
Yeah, the further along I got, I actually ended up skipping I think it was 3, the really bad one. I actually missed that one, and for
I
good
missed
reason.
the 4th one. I watched one of the later ones that was even worse.
Yeah, 4. It was 4. I watched
Okay.
4 with the wife actually pretty recently because she hadn't seen all of the pirates, so we went through them, and it's like, yeah, 1 fantastic, 2 and 3
Solid.
not quite as good, but very solid, and I love Davy Jones, and then 4, what the hell, and then 5, okay, at least you're trying to redeem yourself. Yeah. 4 is literally what the hell. You know what I mean? Like, whoa. You could teach that in school
There's
as
some
like,
cool
don't
stories
do
you could
this.
do with mermaids, man. Mermaids are an
Dude,
underutilized fantasy race, creature, whatever you want to call it.
you better believe in deep ones, Miss Turner, because RK has them. They're in there. They're in there. There's Leviathans and Krakens, and I am, everything's still in development because it's very much my sandbox world. But like, yeah, dude, I want the deep ones in there.
There's a reason why we know so little to this day about the deepest parts of the oceans, and that's not even including ideas like of pockets of water trapped beneath. They say there may be another ocean's worth of water trapped underneath the continents and the plates under the tectonic plates as well that could have, in theory, could hold an entirely different biome and like system of creatures and animals, and suddenly like these ideas of I'm gonna turn this around. Cthulhu, Lovecraft, the deep
hell yeah.
ones, the people suddenly don't seem that far fucking fetched.
Yeah, they don't.
Berenger with the French illustrated editions, man. The French win in art. Sorry.
They care about art and culture. Like, I really respect the French, and they're still having a revolution. Like, they have one every other year, it seems like, because they get so mad, and I don't blame them. I do
Also,
not blame them.
Bonchar brings up, you think there's not a lot of mermaid fantasy? Go check out lots of Christian fantasy. Why does Christian fantasy have so many mermaids? That's weird. I wouldn't expect that for some
Christian
reason.
fantasy has a bunch of mermaids.
That's what he's saying, yeah.
Oh, that's fascinating because, I mean, when I think like Christian fantasy, my mind, like when I think of the fantastical elements, my mind goes to like A, like superhumans, or like B, like giants. You know what I mean? Stuff
Well,
like
then
that.
there's also there's a whole bunch of Christian fiction books.
Oh yeah,
Christian
yeah.
fiction is a weird subject, honestly. I'm gonna have a panel with certain people on it sometime this maybe in the beginning or pre-summer. I'm going to invite a few Christian authors on there, and that's going to be a fun discussion talking about how to balance belief in fiction and stories and how to do it well without being overbearing or detracting from the actual storytelling. It's a very hard thing to do, and people land at different spots. Like, I'd say I'd turn it around, but I'm lazy. Herman, it's like some names are different, but it's obviously talking about Christianity and belief, and they even pray and talk about it in the book, but it doesn't feel like a slap in the face or a detraction from the story. And then Resident One, he talks about that as well. You direct me. I didn't direct you, Boncher. Anyway. And Boncher in his Akiniwazi saga, there's a very strong element of Christianity in there. So yeah, I'm gonna have a panel with a bunch of Christian authors and have that discussion. I think it's a worthwhile discussion.
If you, I mean, that's a fascinating topic because I know for a fact that Christian music, like metal, for example, is some of the best. Some of the best.
Striper. I love Striper, dude.
I can only imagine that. Hold on, I'm gonna unplug my mic.
Go for it.
I can only imagine that Christian literature, prose, is just as good. And when I say like the Christian metal is fantastic, I'm talking like the lyrics are so. They're like,
dude, there's some
dudes.
Really good ones.
And when they're angry, they're fucking angry. They mean it.
Anger.
They believe it. Their whole thing is faith because they're Christians. So they believe everything they're saying. And when they're screaming it at you, they're fucking screaming it at you, bro.
It hits different.
Yeah,
It's Christian metal is such a weird thing because when like even me, when I think of metal, especially like older metal, it has like this demonic undertone, both in style, dress, and content. It's like, what were some famous metal albums during the 80s? You had like Mark of the Beast and like all of these different metal bands and very popular things. It's like Black Sabbath and all that. Even the name Black Sabbath implies a demonic element, which is weird because they had a Christian, Ronnie James Dio, as their lead singer for a while, and he was very openly Christian about all that too. And yeah, it's a very odd thing to navigate, but
It is. But like I said, you can have that same like connotation with this like entire genre that's associated with like Satanism and demons and stuff. And when you get a frontman in there and a Christian band that's like adopting this anger, because that's what it is. It's passion. It's not evil. Like it's passionate music, and it's very high rhythm. You know, it's rhythmic based music that's high passion, high energy. So when you get a Christian with the right, you've seen how Christians can talk in front of a crowd. Holy shit! They're some of the most motivational people. You know,
it feels like they can meet the eye of thousands of people. It's a very true magical kind of thing that they're able to do.
So when you combine that with the righteous anger, as you call it, and have this dude through the same language as like these other satanic bands or whatever, scream the words like "Let my name be feared at the gates of hell as I exalt the Savior."
Oh yeah.
It becomes a rallying cry. Almost every Christian in the crowd who's screaming that is like, yeah, bring evil on, and we will kill it brutally and savagely with the wrath of our fucking God, and stay out of our way. And it's fucking epic, dude, when the whole crowd, and you can feel it. The whole crowd is just like connected. And you know, you get downsides to that where like in between songs it becomes church, and they start preaching to a lot of Satanists in the crowd, really, because like you're right, metal is associated heavily
with the occult, to say the least.
Yeah, so a lot of people are there for the music and the metal, and as soon as you start actually talking and like not playing the music, and you're just like, okay, well, here's our motive, everybody sees that and they don't like it. But if you just keep it going and you let your message be the message, because they're going to read the lyrics. I did. And oh man, it's like vanity is a sepulcher. Well, you know what band is saying something like that? Like, what the fuck? They say some deep shit, dude, and it's because they're totally sober and they're totally faithful. And you just
they don't, most of them anyway, don't live the rock star lifestyle, which is like, it wrecks so. I'm sure you can speak to this even more than me, but how many musicians have been wrecked by the lifestyle that they chose to live alongside their creation and their touring and all that? Like at a certain point, like it's just non-recoverable,
right?
As well. And so
no,
if
most
you're
of
able
them
to like not live that lifestyle, live cleanly, whatever that means, then that can bolster your impact and longevity, in my opinion.
Yeah. And we were just, I don't know, man, music and like sound waves have a profound effect on everything. Like you saw what it did to sand earlier. Like our body is also a, you know, solid that's not actually fully solid. Like we're mostly water. You can look up videos and see what sound wave does to water too, and it's just like fascinating. Yeah, it's fascinating. And I am thoroughly a believer that music affects people in like multiple ways.
You don't even have to. There's no scientific explanation necessary to know that. Like anyone who's heard music and has that area of their brain activated, they know. Everybody knows that.
It's like, dude.
Is your lovely wife going to join us, or is it just going to be us tonight, do you think?
She will. She asked to join. She's getting ready right now. Actually, she's going to jump in.
Sweet. So we can keep going on this stuff, because I can talk about this stuff all day, or we could talk about something else. We could talk about Maui. We could talk about books, lore, fighting, whatever you like.
Oh yeah. I'm down for anything. You mentioned Maui. Let's see. Do I have? Oh, let me just tie up Halo before she joins really quick. So the whole point I was even trying to get to, the whole point I was even like trying to circle in on here is it's no longer, I don't think it's acceptable for us to view these as adaptations. They must be 100% viewed as fan fiction.
Yep.
They call them remixes. They're not remixes. They are vandalization. If you're not marketing it as fan fiction or marketing it as a remix, that's the thing. Change whatever you want. Tell us from the get-go. Tell us from the get-go. Don't try to market it and like edit your advertisements like it's some
Don't
sort of
wear the
accurate thing.
clothes of somebody I love and pretend to be them while
Right.
doing it so cheaply and inauthentically.
How many less people would have hated the Halo series if they would have said, check out the new Halo fan fiction in partnership with 343 Studios? Okay, you can say all the same things, just label it what it is. Like a Halo remix, whatever. Like market it that way.
It's our reimagining of Halo, maybe.
Right. Like but they're afraid to, Kahuna. Why? You know why. You know why.
Money.
Nobody wants to see that. So why are you doing it? It's shady. It's manipulative. There you go.
It's lying. It's manipulative at best. It's lying at worst. Manipulation is just lying without the technicality.
With extra steps. Yeah.
Isn't that just lying with extra steps?
That's a great way to put it too. Like it really is just kind of like nudging this over here, which creates ripples that move the sailboat, the paper sailboat along or whatever. But they have the Covenant. Are you familiar with Halo?
Very. I've put between like 1,500 and 3,000 hours in 3 of the games individually. And I've read a lot of the books, and I've done a lot of the deep lore dives, and I've watched the short films. I'm very, very familiar with Halo. I adore the series.
You said you read books?
Yeah, maybe 6 or 7 of them, something like
that. That's more Halo than I am entrenched in, and I love that, sir. How are the books? Man. My friend said the books were fucking great. Fucking great.
Like there's 1 or 2 that kind of miss, but dude, as a whole, they slap. They didn't just bring in. They brought in a very talented sci-fi author to write a lot of the earlier books, like The Fall of Reach, or even if you want some like prehistory, like you want prequel kind of stuff, like when did humanity first encounter the Covenant? That's going to be maybe Project Harvest, and that's with Sergeant Johnson when he was a younger man, and in the earliest version of a Spartan program, and encountering jackals and then the brutes being the ones to try to negotiate a peace with the humanity, and that obviously didn't work out.
There's a whole process to it, and obviously already just explaining some of it, you've already touched on a lot of the themes, which is like the politics behind it. It's very much in the same genre as like Dune and like these other ones where it's like pretty realistic political fantasy, except Halo has military at the heart of it, because let's face it, it always has been like military propaganda with a really shiny coat of paint on it. That's fine. I don't care. Okay. It's part of my childhood. Like Call of Duty is even less. It's even less. No shame.
It doesn't disguise it at all.
At all. Yeah. It's like literally we're gonna make 2 versions. This version has Nazi zombies in it, just to pander to everybody. Essentially, they literally divided the IP just to pander more to everybody. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. With Halo, we can even talk about something else that's important. The Halo 2 Spartan program, the version where John 117 comes from, it wasn't the first program, and also it was started before any inkling of the Covenant was ever discovered. So what was
the Spartans were? That's huge. Yeah,
they were made to fight human insurgents or people who disagreed with the ruling powers that be.
And
so these monstrous creatures, basically, because they're not really human by the end of their transformation, not truly in the same way that you and I are.
Right.
These things were created to fight dissension and insurgents amongst mankind. No. Bad Sauce, he was not version 3. Now there are version 3 Spartans. They had done a bit more to increase the effectiveness and the longevity of those who went through the augmentations of the Spartans in the version 3. Version 3s they took a Spartan 2 and it put him in charge of the Spartan 3s. They were not given Mjolnir armor, they were given stealth armor and they would basically be sent in at a younger age, maybe 10 to 14 years old, on suicide missions with
Mhm.
with less equipment. So
Mhm.
the one thing is they were smaller, they were younger, and on average they were not quite as well trained, even though they were very effective. They were
Right.
basically like a glass cannon. You shoot it once and it's done.
Right. So they were that's an important aspect. They were created to fight insurgents, human insurgents, non-covenant.
Yes, yeah, before
Non-covenant.
the Covenant ever existed.
So it establishes that. That was something that I actually forgot about a little bit, and they do touch on that in the show. Hearing you describe that, they characterize the Spartans as non-human. Then they have him take his helmet off. I am human, and so everybody views them as non-human. They follow insurgents that you're talking about. So the people don't like their own government and stuff, and there's rebels and all that.
Yeah,
Uh,
basically Firefly. Like we want to do our
right,
own thing and
right.
govern ourselves, but we're
Mhm.
humanity, so we're not going to do that.
The first shot fired in the show is very satisfying because I thought, okay, so it establishes that we're gonna have heads be blown off and legs be blown off in this and show it
Thank
and
God.
stuff like that. Yeah, yeah, it was
At
very
least they got that
satisfying.
right.
I was like, oh, okay, because we're following this group of idiot resurgents that I'm like, I don't remember all this. Maybe this was in the books, so I didn't
It's in the
judge it
books.
too
It's
much.
not in the. They even touch on it in the books, but it's even. Remember in the beginning of Reach,
Yeah,
the game Reach. Did you play Reach?
yeah.
Good. They remember when they were investigating. They thought it was human insurgents before they realized the Covenant was on Reach. That's what they were investigating. They're like, "Oh, someone's messing
Humans.
with our equipment.
Ah,
We
okay.
think it might be this group of insurgents out there."
And Paladin Dragoon, hail Paladin Dragoon. Shout out to him, by the way. I did a review
Oh
for his thing.
yeah, his art
Uh,
looks fantastic. I
oh,
haven't
it's
even
so
read
good.
everything yet, but yeah.
I think I'm gonna try to figure something out for spirit animals in art because I need to. Just like one good piece of art per episode or something would be so sweet. But I need to find an artist that's willing to work with me because
Oh, I can
I'm a
help you
broke.
too. I know some people, and that could be
Okay.
valuable.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. But yeah, Paladin Dragoon says later in the books they confirm that they lied to the people, saying the Spartans were made to fight the Covenant. And I think I am a part of that group that fell for the propaganda as a kid because I was just too busy shooting and playing games with my
Yep.
buddies. I watched the cool cinematics and stuff, and it was just all drama with Master Chief and the
Oh, like
aliens and stuff.
Halo 3, Believe. It's a bunch of these old guys like remembering the war and remembering Chief and remembering what it was like crying over their fallen brother. I'm like, they're treating this like a real documentary. How can you not
It's
like
amazing.
go into the hype of that?
So
And it's
that's
like,
what I'm.
yeah.
They had the budget of the U.S. military behind it. Like I said, it was super elaborate propaganda, but it was well done because everybody involved was like super behind it, and you got this like they hired good artists, they hired good writers, they hired freaking Breaking Benjamin to do one of the songs, if you remember. Like
Oh, I
they had
love,
all
dude.
these
I
musicians.
love that song.
Dude, they cared so much about everything because they had endless military budget behind it and people who were probably military geeks and sci-fi geeks on top of that trying to create the next great American franchise or the next great American IP. So
Yeah.
it was largely a story about an alien race who is not just one race but many races, and they
Covenant of sorts.
a covenant of sorts that uses religion to control all the other subservient races, and the fact that humans exist and can interact with the holy relic objects that are part of their religion, it
Hmm.
it threatens to disprove their entire religion, just the fact that humans exist
Yeah.
and our
Yeah.
biological nature disproves their religion. So that is the very heart of the Halo story, the gritty politics that are very militaristically based. So it's battles and strategy, and it's a game of risk. It's
Yep.
Roman history essentially. It's you know
It's
what I mean?
also a great way to explore what kind of sacrifices are we willing to make in order to ensure
Sacrifice.
just basic
That's
survival.
my
Because
next
like
point.
Dr. Halsey talks about, it's like everybody started when things are good, everybody starts questioning and criticizing my Spartan program. But where where were those voices when we were the ones who held back the Covenant attack on the Reach? Where were those voices when my Spartans completed every objective that our USMC could not uh, adequately perform? What and like you look at it, like read the books, like in John's class, a bunch of the kids died when they were very young, undergoing training
That's
missions with
true.
live ammo, and
I
then
knew
the
that.
augmentation process took out like 50 to 60% of them because the medical
Yep.
technology wasn't quite there yet.
Very Witcher. Very Witcher. I
Yep.
love it. You can see why Halo is such a love, because now we're getting into the self-sacrifice aspect of it.
Yes.
There is deeper themes going on with Halo and a deeper core that built the foundation of this world, made by people who love sci-fi and good stories.
Yes.
Even if it had the propaganda budget behind it, doesn't matter because it's still a good story. There's so many. The movie 300, total propaganda, fucking epic,
Yeah.
fucking
Very
great,
epic.
fucking great, dude. And
insult my wife.
For real, we can all
Yeah,
get behind those girl boss moments because the Spartan women were fucking girl bosses, dude. Same with the Viking women. While the men are out raiding, who's protecting the kids? It's the adolescents, if they're not quite old enough, and the fucking women. They are ready to protect their babies. You can tell me they're just pushovers?
Well, hell, like Lord of the
No.
Rings even touches on that. Like in the Battle of Helm's Deep, they give this like 12-year-old kid maybe a sword, and he's just a kid.
Yeah.
It's like this is
it's how it is.
Great I'm not using the right words, but hard times require great sacrifices.
And without directly saying it, they're just, I'm going to show a kid, put armor put on him, hand him a sword. We all know the rest, right? And I kind of touch on that too in A Memory of Mortality, which I was thinking a lot about today, dude. And I think that might be the first one that I do some sort of spin-off, and I think it might threaten to become an entire thing, because there's a lot of on there. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff there, and just having that could be my like gun story, but I digress. Yeah, I have the bad guys, quote unquote, so the other side, which the bad guys are kind of like everybody involved, really. Like the main character is kind of
the problem is like all the guys on the most of the people on the ground aren't monsters; they're just people
drones,
in service of this thing. But the problem is, it's like there's too many things. Like if they say no, there's too many bad things that will happen to them and or their compatriots. Like
or
if you
family.
read like if you read the journals of old Nazi policemen, because there's this whole group of police that they were policemen before the propaganda, so they knew all of this was BS. And their commanding officer, like, hey, this is the direction we're going on. These are some of the things that are going to happen one way or another. Now you can I'm giving you guys the opportunity now. You can leave. If you can't do this, you can leave. And some of them did. But a lot of them were like, if I don't do this, someone else will have to do this. And I'm not going to leave that responsibility to some 20-something kid who has no idea what the world's really like. And so it paints a very weird picture of these very ordinary men performing these terrible, like world-crushing acts. It's a fascinating 100%. Thing to look at.
Yeah, 100%. And I said,
the DOG,
the Department of Justice. That's what I read it as. And Halsey was a monster.
Halsey was a monster.
Yeah,
but she was the monster humanity needed. I hate to say it, and it even gets weirder because like Cortana is based off of a scan of Halsey's brain. Cortana is almost in an alt Halsey, and the love story between her and Chief looks even stranger under that guise.
100%. And you mentioned love story between her and Chief. This leads me to my other point. I said it's a story where at its heart, it is a military political conflict. That's the first part. About religion. That's the next part. And how it is used to control and how humanity threatens that. Boom. That's the core of the story. The next caveat to that is self-sacrifice. These are the themes. Now, the main character is Master Chief for a reason. A faceless person. Number one, faceless person, because that's not the point. Number two, basically a nameless person. He has the most generic first name, John, as in John Doe. It's so you can remain anonymous.
We never learn his last name.
He doesn't have a last name. He has a number.
Yeah, in the books, like he even talks about her taking him basically from his planet and
Right.
like his family and such, and yeah,
And all of that,
dude, it's wild.
I love it. And all of that is factoring into this self-sacrifice idea, because like anybody, like it's anybody, right? Like he may be superhuman, but you become superhuman when when you rise to the heroic ideal. Okay, and that ideal is self-sacrifice. Now John is aware, the main character is
Yes.
very aware how much everybody hates him. He's aware that he was taken from his family. He's aware of his childhood trauma that he had to go through and all of this stuff, because as not human as they are still human
There's there's a human in there,
when they
but it's
start.
not their development was so altered that it
Right.
changes them almost. And like even this other Spartans talk about, John doesn't take his helmet off almost ever, and even compared to other Spartans. And that contributes to he's the human who seems like a robot. He operates like a robot almost. And then Cortana is the AI fictitious person who acts like a person. And so
Mhm.
they create something together they can never be on their own. There's a lot going on there.
And okay, so I think I'll continue a little bit more into the series and see where they go with that, because what they did right now. So wasn't it John for biblical reasons? Bat Sus says
I'm not.
probably
If it
also
was, I'm not aware of
probably,
it.
but like I could see that being like an also. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
it's I always interpreted it like John Doe, right? And the other aspect uh, is okay. So they made it a story about all that. They took this main character immediately. When you take his helmet off, you can see the problems with that, because you're starting to conflict with some of the recipe that they put into the heroic ideal. Now Spartans, like I said, he's very aware of all of his childhood and all that stuff leading up to it, and his
Yeah.
conditioning, his programming. He has Cortana here all the time, and like you said, they have to work together to create something that they're not. So he
Yeah.
is hyper aware of all this stuff, and still chooses to not pursue any personal, like selfish, anything like that. Okay, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything that 117 ever does that's like, I just, because I want
When
this?
Cortana start in the Halo universe, AI have a short lifespan. Basically, it's a flaw in the entire concept of AI. At some point, like they have limitations. They cannot copy themselves and they cannot do certain things. But at some point the AI starts evolving and it creates like a sped up version of psychosis or madness like that you sometimes see in human beings. And that's why AI are put out of commission after a certain point. And so in Halo 5, Cortana starts the signs that she's been showing previously of her madness start to develop into full psychosis. They have a special name for it too, that I can't really remember. In the
That's
first marathon, they became rampant. Yeah, that's right, Paladin Dragoon. And so, yeah, in Halo 5, Chief does make something of a selfish decision. He disobeys orders, and that's why they send a team of Spartan 4 hunters after him to try to apprehend him and basically stop Cortana, which at this point is nigh impossible. It's not something they can feasibly do that easily. And there's a lot of other great stories too. Like there's a whole book about the development of the Spartan 3 program. It's like not only are these kids like that we've stolen essentially, they're given a better augmentation system even if they're a little smaller than the Spartan 2, but we are choosingly using them like a chess piece, these like 10 to 13, 14-year-old kids. No, sending them on these missions where the expectation is death. And that book starts off like with a bit of a flash forward, like two kids out of like 300 to 400 kids survive a mission and they come back. And that's like, oh, we didn't actually expect anyone to make it. Weird. All right. And it's
gotta
like
love it.
and the man running that program is a Spartan too, who was taken out of the program for some physical reasons.
Well, right, and for like as much as some of the themes are there of like corruption and like, oh, we developed these to fight humans, there's still this self-sacrifice ideal at the heart of everything. Like that dude went through all the same trauma as all the other kids, and there he is, like directing it, in charge of it, because he serves a greater idea, which is to protect humanity. And now you double back to that thing about them being made to stop like terrorists, essentially, right? For lack of a better term. It's again that core idea of we're going to sacrifice our young, essentially, take the babies.
Which is such an anti like modern ideal. Go look at animals, they'll very willingly sacrifice their young, but humanity, that's one of the things that makes us so different, even outside of the fact that I don't think humans are animals to begin with. Hello, Katie. Welcome to the stream, y'all. Got your lovely pink headphones, y'all.
Thank you. I love them so much. We actually got like I shop around on Amazon and get things that are rated good but also cheap, and so like we got the same exact headphones, like the same brand and everything,
cute.
But different colors. And then I found there are of course aftermarket Switch controllers. Well, our son hid like the two little controller pieces. Can you stop doing that, please?
Yeah, I'm just fixing it.
Like,
go on.
I really hate that you do that every time I'm trying to talk to someone. I can't see them.
I know. You can see them now.
For fuck's sake.
I was just getting the AC out of the way there.
Here's your
Thank you.
illicit substances. No.
Don't worry, darling. He just wanted to make sure your face was well displayed. Yeah.
Yes.
So, what the fuck was I talking about?
I forgot.
See?
Amazon
Stop hiding.
That's how ridiculous it is.
Amazon buying stuff.
So, okay, yeah, our son, we still to this day have not found the Switch controllers. We've torn this place apart. And we have an organized, clean house. So I don't know what happened, if he maybe snuck them in a garbage or something. So it's $80 for the two Switch controllers for the name brand. So I found ones for $15 or $20 or something like that. And then he wanted like the video game controllers that you can hook up.
Yeah,
because
like the Xbox or PlayStation style ones.
Yeah, with the turbo and stuff. So I got two of those, and it's the same deal where mine's white and pink and his is the same one.
Yeah. So our Switch controllers match.
Cute.
Yeah,
and it was cheaper than anything. Same with these headphones. They look cool, but they were like some of the cheapest options.
And I wanted to stream and play video games with them, but there's no mics on our headphones, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, you may see us play
Orcus.
Play some games together in the
What are
future,
you doing?
That should be fun. Yeah.
Our dog's standing on the back of the couch right now, but his head's behind this cabinet. So literally he's just displaying his penis like right here next to where we're looking. And that's all we can see of him.
Yeah.
Like, what
his
are
red
you
rocket was showing.
He's
oh,
like,
not that. Not his pink crayon.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
He's like, hey, check this out. All right, I'm gonna go.
Yeah. No, he's behind us being a creeper.
Are you a flasher?
Mm-hmm.
So the whole thing I was leading up to is like, so yeah, it's all these themes of self-sacrifice, and immediately you can see by having the helmet take off, and they do it really slow and dramatically, like, is this really happening kind of thing, and then the person he's talking to is literally like, whoa, did you just do that because you wanted to? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, why? And he's like, I don't know. So it's like somehow Palpatine came back, and it's because he wants to. So he's leaving behind the self-sacrifice ideal and pursuing his personal interest, which is having a girl boss girlfriend. He gets to fall in love with the lady that's working with the Covenant. Yes, I said that. Yeah. Humans working with the Covenant.
It happens even in the books and in the games, but it's a limited alliance at best.
Bro, where are you?
Oh, they're straight up like putting her in a position of power. Like, I don't mean just like a temporary alliance. I mean like she's on the ship with Grief, having a conversation about their plans within plots within schemes, and she has like her Hillary Clinton attire on, and it's just like, this person doesn't exist. This never happened. What are you doing? And it's like it destroys the whole religious control, threatening their belief system.
Humanity and the Covenant were inherently, for so many different reasons, they were never going to work out. Even if the negotiations had been done differently, they were never going to work out. Because the Covenant it's a my way or the highway situation religiously.
Yeah.
And they even talk about it, like they talk about the Grunt Rebellion. The Grunts, they're like rabbits. So they breed very fast, and they have litters of them. So they're it's not one baby from one pregnancy, it's like 8 and more. And so they were breeding too fast, and so the Covenant basically beat them down eventually and had them like put restrictions on their breeding and things of that nature. And then the hunters, those aren't a singular creature. Each hunter is a collection of the symbiotic worms.
Yeah, so they're essentially a tamed.
Each one is a colony, basically.
Yeah, so they're a tamed. They're a tamed organism, like colonial organism or something that has been tamed and controlled, and they unleash it in like a tank form. Essentially, it's so cool, the lore and stuff behind it. But yeah, dude, they destroy all that with by having them directly ingrain a human into the Covenant society on a high level with the prophets, like talking so matter of factly as if
Sanheli. Is that right? No, I think that's the name of the elites. Anyway.
No, the prophets, like literally grief.
They have a race. I'm trying to remember what they're called. I can't. Yeah.
But you know how that would be? That would be like hanging out with the Pope. That's like a heretic hanging out with the Pope and like having a position at his desk and stuff. So there's that destroys a whole aspect of the lore. The helmet coming off destroys the other aspect. And I looked ahead, found out that most of the plot centers around how he is pursuing his love interest. Never. Like, what? That destroys the character.
That baby.
Right?
Ew. I'm kidding.
His love interest at best is Cortana, the AI, right? So
and it's not even like it's not necessarily even fully romantic. It's not a very easily definable thing, even when you experience it. But
that is one.
They just bond and have emotional moments. Yeah, thank you.
I'm obsessed with your nipples.
Thank you.
I'm just trying to make. I'm trying to.
We'll stop talking about Halo.
I love it when you're affectionate, Katie. You've been fighting with people on Twitter like a Viking woman, like a Valkyrie.
She is a Viking.
woman. I have the Viking rage for sure.
Yeah, I'll pop on every day or so. I'm like, holy crap! Well, you're really going at it, man. I'm just kind of like online, especially Twitter. I'm like mostly a live and let live thing, except for one thing today that pissed me off enough to actually post about it. Holy smokes! Oh, that fight, that high school fight where the girl bashes this girl's brains open on the freaking pavement.
I saw that so many times, but I only commented on what Gina Carano said, and I just said well said when she was talking about it. But that's just it doesn't matter who threw the first punch. If you're smashing someone's head like that and they're not even responsive, like you're a fucking monster.
Yeah, you're trying to kill them.
And you're old enough to be tried as an adult. You know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. It's very intentional.
Yeah, I've been involved in stuff like that, and I stopped for that exact. Like one guy, not gonna in Minecraft. Allegedly, I kicked a guy.
No,
oh, careful.
You're good.
Dog's fucking chewing.
No, no, he's chewing. That's not good, man. I miss having a dog sometimes, but then I remember there's so much I need to do, and I can't take care of a dog right now.
Yeah,
but allegedly I landed a kick like right here on him, where his shoulder meets his neck, and he like twisted, rolled over, and slammed his head into the side of a car door in Minecraft. So that was the last fight I was ever in like that. It was me versus him and two other guys, and it was fast, and it was
wait in real life?
No, in Minecraft. And so you hit downright AB in real life in Minecraft, and like came down on this. Oh wow, dude! It was like finish him moment.
It was.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's not
I've been in physical fights. It's not fun. Like, well, I actually had a roommate when I was like 18. Who he was in a coma for it was like 2 weeks or 2 months because someone just sucker punched him in the back of the head, or this temple like went right up behind him.
Our meat suit and noggin are very most people are very weak there for a reason. It doesn't take much to mess someone up.
Yeah, in middle school I had a girl. I was going up the stairs and she was behind me and she pulled me and smashed my head against the concrete wall. And it like knocked me fucking stupid, you know. I'm pretty sure I got a concussion. And then I go to gym right after that, and we had those weird little skateboard looking things you roll around on and play dodgeball or whatever the fuck. Yeah. And we were on those, and like I had people making fun of me, like, "Well, I heard you got your ass beat," and like and just making fun of me. I'm like, "What the fuck?" Like, someone literally grabbed me and smashed my head against concrete and then ran away. I don't feel like.
How is that getting your ass beat? That you got?
I mean, that's like a coward thing to do.
They Pearl Harbored you.
Yeah,
is the term I would use, Pearl Harbored. But
yeah, the only fight I started was there was this girl that kept making fun of my friends, and it was two of my friends, and she was about she was maybe like an inch shorter than me, but like very close to my size. And the two friends of mine she's making fun of were very like skinny like me, but very short. And it was like she would wait outside of our classroom because we all had choir together. Not her, but the two friends. So every day we'd get out of choir and she was waiting and just talking shit and harassing them. So finally I had enough, and I was like, dude, like pick on someone your own size like me. And I can't remember exactly how it went, but like I pushed her and she tried to grab me, and I grabbed her hair and pulled her head down, and I kept punching at the back of her head. And
it's always the hair.
So like I pulled her down and I was punching the back of her head, and I remember I was not even hitting her as hard as I could because I just like I couldn't do it, you know. I felt like so weak, and it was weird, but like I felt bad.
If you did hit her as hard as you could, you'd probably break your hand. Right?
Well, she started, you know, I did it like, I mean, it wasn't forever, you know. I want to say maybe it was like 10 seconds or something, and then she was crying and like ran off, and I felt horrible, you know, and I didn't even do it as hard as I could, but I'm like, dude, stop fucking with my friends. Mm-hmm. And she did after that, but you know, she said something like, oh, so-and-so's gonna beat your ass now, as she was crying and running away. And it was like she was referring to like an older friend at our school, which nothing came of that, but I'm just like, I don't get it. But like when I got expelled, it was because of the football players throwing apples and Gatorade bottles and like full ones at me. And like I think I already told you about that, but you know, I never understood rough, like I don't know, I just like that was the one fight that I started, I guess, and I felt like shit. Like, how do you
understand it, but there's a time and a place, and I've basically told my oldest, I'm like, if someone hits you and they do not stop, mess them up.
Yeah.
That's what I told them.
Defend yourself.
Yeah. And it's like I was 9th grade. I was 6 foot, 185 pounds of like leanish muscle, basically the non-fat version of me now. And but I was shy and I've like never been to public school before, so I'm 9th grade getting bullied up the wazoo.
Yeah.
And then one of my friends, like I fell down in soccer practice, he kicked me in the temple with a soccer cleat as hard as he could.
Ooh, ouch!
Ooh. Didn't knock me out. I saw a star
on purpose.
Oh, yeah. not everybody's like, oh, it was an accident. I'm like,
yeah,
no,
right.
because he said he might do that, but yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I had an altercation at school. Basically, we were shadow boxing, me and this kid I didn't really know that well, and he stepped forward while we were shadow boxing, so I bopped him in the nose, and he started bleeding. Good time.
Oh,
and then sucks. I realized if I don't resolve this in a peaceful way, it's going to be me versus like 6 people. And so I had people hold my arms behind my back, and I let them pop me one in the chin. And then I just looked. I turned and looked at him and asked him for another, and no one ever tried to fight me at school again.
Good.
Yeah, because you got one free shot as hard as you want. He could test it as much as that's what you're up against. Good luck. You know.
If you're still here, Resonant One.
Oh, he just left. Yeah.
Oh,
that's fine though. Still shout it out.
Oh shit, that sucks.
Yeah.
Peace out, y'all.
Oh, there we go. Now I see it.
Peace out, brother. I appreciate you stopping by, man. It's a good time. He's a great guy. He was one of my Iron Age legends that I've had on there. AC, you're going to be on there here soon. Just got to coordinate when that will be, man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're doing that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, man. There are 2 requirements. I have to know you and like you, and then I have to... Wait, no. And then I have to have read and either respect or enjoy your work. And I've listened to your work, I've seen your work, and I've read your work, and I've enjoyed all of it. And so you qualify heavily to be on there. Oh, I had John on there last time. We're gonna have to do a part 2 because he can only be on there for about like an hour and 15 minutes. But yeah.
I hope that someday, eventually, that people will want me on their cast instead of just Andy, because I know I'm just like an editor right now. But there are some things that people will be seeing from me in the near future. If everything goes right, and I'm really excited. Can't really say too much about it, but it's pretty exciting. Exciting.
And no, you qualify too, but it's hard to quantify with you as much. Like I suppose I could look at your modeling work, or even the fact that you're a good host as well, because I consider that worthwhile entertainment. And so I let that be a qualifier for people as well.
That's the other thing. She's very much a podcaster.
Yeah. You have the spirit of the podcaster flowing through your veins.
Yes, and a YouTuber.
I think that I've missed, unfortunately, a lot of casts where he's had to just do it alone, or, I jump in later like today, but it's like, we were just talking the other day about how we don't remember almost anything. Like, we know, we've talked about cryptids and UFOs and this and that, but for the most part, it's like, I don't even remember what I say to people. Yeah. And when you do so many, it just kind of blends together. But
they do, yeah.
We have things going on in our life that, I think that,
attention.
Yeah.
Well, I think that in the hopefully near future, things are going to be a lot better. We're going to be able to stream more. Yeah, we've got a lot going on right now. So, but good things are happening. So it's like I have some medical issues, and I finally am have an appointment next month with doctors that I need to like specialists that I need to see. So I'm really looking forward to that. Like you can see me now shifting all the time because it sucks to not have a tailbone and you sit,
Yeah, it doesn't sound very fun to me.
It's like, even when I sleep, if I'm laying on my back, it's my tailbone area. It hurts so bad. If I'm on my side, it's my hips because those are messed up forever. And then when I stand, it's my back. So it's, if I could afford stem cell injections, I would absolutely try that.
It helped my dad's knees.
Basically. Really?
Yeah, it basically gave him 15 young years youth on his knees back, like 15 years less of wear and tear equivalent.
Wow.
I would love to try it.
It costs a lot of money. Like his buddy Terry did it. Didn't really work for him, but he has a whole different... He's a man who's died 27 times, basically.
Oh,
wow.
He has a whole different situation.
Yeah.
It's like he was driving... he was in a car that hit a telephone pole going 85 miles per hour, and he survived.
Oh, wow.
And he has 27 stories of stuff like that.
Jeez.
Wow, dude.
Some force wants him here.
Yeah. He was working on a car, and the lift gave out, the hydraulic lift, and it dropped the bumper between his finger and a brick. And so yank once, yank twice, pulled it off right about here. But the problem was there's this much finger he pulled off, and it pulled the tendon out from his elbow, all the way out.
What the fuck?
So you know when you hit your funny bone and it hurts really bad, and you're like, oh. So he says it was like that times 1,000. He's like all the tendon with a meaty chunk on the end.
Yes.
Oh, no, I'm sorry to throw up.
Yes.
My dad was there when he bruised his heart riding a motorcycle, and his heart almost stopped. My dad was had him in the he was dying in the waiting room of the hospital, and my dad was slapping him on the face to keep him awake so he didn't pass out and die. My dad called the paramedics. The paramedics came into the waiting room of the hospital and saved his life because the hospital didn't know what to do.
This dude needs to write like 27 books.
Just one book with 27 chapters.
Have a ghostwriter or something.
I have always, I grew up with a majority of my family work in the medical field. And so growing up, my dad would watch surgeries for work and I would see them and it was very normalized for me. So, you know, I would actually watch surgeries before I had them. Like, for example, my ankle ligament repair. And I just want to know, you know what I mean? So I've never been really like, with blood or injuries or anything like that, surgeries. But I will say that when I had my AVMs, which for those who don't know, it's arteriovenous malformations. So after we lost...
fried. Sorry, hold on.
I'll explain it. So after we lost Olin at 16 weeks to a cord accident, which I was induced. I, birthed him. And it was like a normal vaginal birth after being induced. We found out it was a cord accident. Or fast forward, 6 weeks later, I'm still hemorrhaging on and off. So the doctor, they kept... You're fine. You're fine.
That's death if that doesn't get solved for those.
And I was, taking iron supplements all the time. And it's like they didn't believe me. And I'm like, I know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And they're like, well, you're fine. So anyway, we finally went to a better hospital in Minneapolis. And so they actually almost gave me a DNC because they thought on the ultrasound. So, okay, here, let me back up. They refused to give me an internal ultrasound. They would only give me an over the stomach one. And they said it was because I just gave birth. But so in the other ultrasound, they thought that I had retained birth product. And so they were going to give me a DNC. Yep. No, so like some of the placenta or something. So they were going to give me a DNC, even though they said like everything came out and looked normal with him. He came out and then the placenta came out and everything looked intact. So anyway, they almost gave me that DNC, which would have killed me.
Yep.
So they thought I had congenital AVMs, which were, okay, you can get them either you have them congenitally or you can get them from uterine trauma. And I'm like, well, I've never had an abortion. I've never had a DNC and I've never had a baby or C-section or anything. Mm-hmm. So we don't know how I got it. But we know that when I got pregnant, when your blood volume increases by almost 50% and everything like that.
That's a lot of strains on your on the tubes that travel in the body.
So it made it grow. And what the AVM is, the arteriovenous malformation, is just essentially a bundle of arteries and veins that are not mapped right. Oh. So what was happening is it was growing and then they rupture. And then why I was hemorrhaging on and off is because the blood would collect in my endometrium and then just gush out. And like one morning we woke up and I'm not kidding you, there was blood everywhere. It was crazy. Yeah. Like Andy was
up the results of 4 pregnancies in public places. It was not
it's crazy how much blood we have and can lose too.
It's a lot.
Yeah. So with the AVMs are extremely rare. There's less than 100 cases in medical literature. So,
whoa. Oh, so they just didn't know what they were dealing with.
So I went to VIE. They're vascular interventional experts is the name of them. So they contacted people at, I think it was the University of San Diego. I mean, she did her research. Dr. Wolf is amazing. So the first treatment is like the gold standard or whatever you want to call it is a hysterectomy. But, you know, especially after just losing our son, we wanted to try to preserve fertility. Yeah. So when you want to do that,
that's always at risk at anything in this stage also.
Yeah. So what they did to close it up, they go in through your femoral artery. So they like snake up there and they put what's called, the first time they did gel foam, and the second time they did gel foam in like these particles, which I don't know, they're plastic, I think.
Couldn't they have used some sort of coagulants to make the blood solidify, or would that have just prolonged the problem?
I don't think so. So they wanted to essentially like kill off that spot, like block it off. And it's the same. So if you have uterine fibroids, they do the same embolizations. So luckily they have experience because that's a lot more common. Yeah. So when I like just the thought of them snaking some shit up there, I couldn't watch it. It was not cool. So after my dad had his heart stents put in, they made him lay flat on his back without moving for 8 hours because you're in that major artery, the femoral artery. Discipline. But with this, they have some kind of silicone that they plug up at the spot, so you only have to lay there for an hour, which I thought was badass, you know.
Oh,
like
technology
we're evolving.
Yeah. Like 60 years ago, my firstborn, even after the successful birth, he wouldn't have made it. We had to have microsurgery on his a muscle that when the food would go from the stomach into the intestine, that muscle was overdeveloped and would close off. So he was throwing up everything he ate for a while because that muscle wouldn't allow anything to go through. So we had to go in with micro tools and cut away some of that stuff.
How old was he?
He was young, like 6 months or less. Probably 2 or 3 months, and so we had. But even like immediately after surgery, I could still barely see the mark in person. It was like they used the tiniest tools you can imagine. It was pretty.
Yeah,
like
the laparoscopy is not.
They wouldn't have known how to actually like do this. I'm like,
yeah. They're just like, oh, failure to thrive. He's gonna, What a strong
mortality rate of children historically used to be very, very bad. Yeah. That's why people had so many kids.
Yeah. With after the embolizations they had, since it remaps your blood, they told me that it could kill an ovary and different things like that. So
the risks anyway.
Yeah, or it could not work. It's common to have multiples. Like most people have at least 2. So I had 2. They almost did a third one, but I was on really heavy hormones. So the birth control I take is norethindrone, and a daily dose.
Hormone-based one?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, the hormone's called norethindrone, and it's the same pill. So I don't get a period at all. It's the same pill every day. So, and after all that, I'm like, I don't want to bleed anymore. But it's 0.35 milligrams. That's how much it takes to stop a pregnancy. 0.35 milligrams. And I had to take 10 milligrams extra a day of that hormone with it. So it was fucking wild.
And with the hormone stuff too, even after you stop taking it, it can prevent pregnancy for as long as 3 years, depending also.
Yeah.
Which is something.
So they told me what happened was, okay, AVM resolved. Things are looking great. Awesome. So then they said 3 months. Was it 3 months with no hormones and just birth control? and then 3 months with no birth control and just using condoms, right? So every time in my entire life that I've ever even skipped a pill, get my period. So, I stop a pill immediately, like the next day, period, right? So
that's really strange too. Like
when
even in different parts of the world, that's not consistent with. Like I had a friend from the Philippines. She would only, without any hormones at all, she would only get a period once every 8 or 9 months.
Wow, that's
very
crazy.
Strange. Sorry.
So
continue.
when you're good, when they told me, I did the 3 months with birth control and then they wanted me to do the 3 months without, but it's like such a big deal, the whole thing, that they wanted me to do 3 months with condoms, and then they said after that we'll give you another scan, give you the green light to try again. So I stopped my birth control and we switched to condoms, right?
Yeah.
I must have immediately ovulated because I got pregnant when we were supposed to, before they gave us the green light. And we found out we were pregnant with Xander on our son that we lost his due date. I think you might have already known that, but
no, I didn't. That's wild.
Yeah, he just and before I got pregnant with Olin, I got pregnant 3 cycles in a row. When we started trying, I got pregnant. So yeah, the first cycle I got pregnant, and then positive tests and everything, and then I got my period. So it's a miscarriage, but it's super early, so they call it a chemical pregnancy. So just a really early miscarriage. So I had 3 of those 3 cycles in a row. And then the 4th time, they gave me progesterone.
Yeah, that's what helped my wife keep the pregnancy. Yeah.
Yep. Get your sticky baby. So then I did that. I did a big fertility bath ritual and stuff too. I did all of that. And then because it was when you really want a baby too, it's so hard. It's so hard to have a miscarriage. And
my wife was pregnant for 4 years, no kid.
It's so hard.
Or more like 3 years. It was wild.
Yeah, it really takes a toll. And it takes a toll on everyone, not just, it's because it's obviously it's your child too, Andy's child. And so then we got, pregnant with Olin and all of that. Now we have Alexander, but it's he gets me pregnant super easily. It's just keeping the baby,
You're fertile, boy. You hear
me? He doesn't hear you. He doesn't have his mic or his headphones on now. But you're fertile, babe. He said, "Thank you, baby." What? Why don't you come here and tell him? I'm not saying that.
Oh no.
He's making coffee. He'll be right with us.
That's my ex-mother-in-law. She got pregnant with my wife the first time she ever had sex at 14 years old. First time.
Whoa.
First 14? Time she had she didn't continue either. That's a thing. It was just a one and done thing for her. And and then she got pregnant with next child while on birth control 3.5 years later.
That was so wild, and it's so young. I think.
She tried to run out of the hospital when she was in there for delivery.
That's crazy. I was 14 when I lost my virginity, and I think Andy was 16 or 17. He said.
Girls.
I don't know
for some reason.
Yeah, and I was really pressured into it by the 16-year-old I was dating at the time, and so it was, and then also I don't know. I got really bad anxiety afterwards. And that
some people do. Yeah.
And that's really drilled into people who have I had gone to church and youth group, and they make you do all the abstinence pledges or whatever. And, and I have a lot, people I love to death are a very hardcore Christians, you being one of them. And, I just feel more spiritual because I feel everyone, I mean, you go to different countries, there's different religions and gods and idols. And we all came from the same source. And so I try to, whatever gave us life, I appreciate it. I respect it, things like that. And there's always going to be, people who abuse other people, and
people will abuse anything, including faith.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And, use it for not good, but I really believe that had a lot to do with like the anxiety, but also like,
see that's so weird because I had such an opposite reaction. Continue, but
Well, I just think that it's like I just knew that they weren't the person for me, so I couldn't,
Oh, that makes a big difference then. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There was something about it because I think Andy's the only person I've been with that like I didn't get like this horrible wave of anxiety afterwards, So,
yeah.
But I don't know. It's not necessarily like a religious like guilt thing either.
Well, it's an intuition.
Like I said.
It's not the only thing you should go on, but it's like when people talk about the spark. They like it has to have the spark. I'm like, yes, but you need more than that. It's like you need more than the compatibility, and you also need more. You need both, and it's very hard to find both in a person. It's like for me, because I believe the person I was with was my person, and ended up marrying that person. And in some ways, it was my person because I have my kids, and that was all part of the plan. But I was like 16. It's like it's more like I held back everything for a long time, growing up very conservative, very religious. And then once I broke open the dam, I was like, whee! Dive right in. That was me for like my teen years. But yeah, wild stuff.
Yeah. I think that, men and women are different too. But I think like, I don't know. It's like I feel like there's a social pressure for both genders in different ways, but
it's very different. But the pressure's there, it's just for different reasons.
Neither gender is discounted or more or less valuable in any way. Like both sides can just keep listing cool shit about each other, honestly, and that's why I don't think it's valuable to like really argue over unless.
Like I understand the rise of this incel kind of culture thing that's going on, but I do vehemently disagree with it.
Yes.
Just because it doesn't just because it's getting harder and harder to find the kind of relationship maybe you want. First of all, you need to be the kind of person who's ready for that relationship. Secondly, it's just because something is harder to find doesn't make it. If anything, it adds value to the searching of it.
Yes.
Just because something if something is rare, it doesn't mean you stop searching. If anything, it means that the search is more worthwhile. And say I never get married again. Maybe I go my entire life and it's like I have my one failed marriage and that's all I ever go through. If that's what the plan is, if that's how it is, that's fine. It's not fully in my control anymore. All I can do is try to be someone worthy of that marriage. Man, if it comes my way, then it'll come my way.
And you're exactly, dude. And you're a father, right? Obviously. Yeah. So there you go. I mean, destiny fulfilled in a way. That's an amazing accomplishment.
Yeah, you'll live on through them for sure. And
oh yeah, I got my kids. I'll just try to stop the 2-generation long history of picking emotionally damaged women as your partner.
Yeah.
So I think it's I had so much trauma from my relationship before Andy, and he was really, really good about it. Like, I believe he even did like research on trauma responses and things like that. And we have this huge thing with our culture where we're like, love yourself, fix yourself, and do all of these things, and then the right person will come along. But like, you can absolutely heal while you're dating someone, but you have to do the work, and it's hard. Yeah. And I think it's really rare to, like me finding Andy is a huge rarity because I mean, he said that when I was like, I have all this baggage. I don't want to be in a relationship. I don't want to bring my baggage into it. And he said, I want to help you carry your bags. And he definitely has, you know. And even when that person was stalking me, like, you know, he didn't let it drive a wedge. Like, we've never gotten into an argument because of any of that, you know, like he's really, really been a solid partner as far as that stuff goes. So, I mean, there's so much, I believe there's so much that you need to put into a marriage to have it be successful. It's not just like,
right, it's one of the hardest things you can ever do.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and it's a lot of love, respect, communication, and compromise, like picking your battles, all kinds of stuff. But it's so worth it.
Yeah.
Having 100%. Compatible needs and wants, even if they're not the same needs and wants.
Right. Yeah, you have to have similarities, and also you have to be opposite in ways that balance each other out. I mean, maybe not have to, but
yeah, there's no, yeah, because there's pretty crazy examples of couples that are, honestly, all different kinds of examples that technically shouldn't work out on paper, but they're like a thriving couple. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, if you view things
Romeo and Juliet type shit.
Yeah. If you view things through the dimension of personality and the core fundamental aspects of who people are, some things can be opposite or different, and they should be, probably for balance. Other things, statistically, really unlikely to lead to a healthy marriage.
Right, right.
Weirdly enough, the way that people, if they're someone with a very organized brain or versus a very artistic mind, in regards to how they decorate and how they see things, you can be an organized person who still has an artistic brain, but if you're both very solidly one direction and the other is the other direction, it's very hard long term for those people to cohabitate effectively.
Yeah. I think I have some creativity in me too, but I'm more of an organized type person. And our house, like, we love decorating together because it's almost like we have the same ideas. Like, oh, I wanted to put that tapestry there too. And, you know, just all, like, I love our house. And like, we get away with having like a light gray TV stand next to a brown one, and then we have a darker brown and then black stuff, you know, like, but it still looks really good, I think, and he thinks so. But like, having fun doing all those things that are kind of chores makes a difference.
Having both people decorate is so, I can't even talk about how important that is. It seems like a small thing, but it's really, really not, because you guys are creating the space that you're going to spend vast amounts of your time together.
Yeah.
And if someone doesn't feel welcome or happy
and at home, place,
then that's a very bad thing for long-term love and relationship.
I could not agree more. You're so right about that. And
which is why I need someone who's slightly more organized than me, but very artistically chaotic in the at least loves visual things the way that I do. Because, like, this is my office. Look how freaking this isn't organized. This is just colors and love. Things that I like.
It's awesome though. Yeah. When I was with my ex, I felt that way totally. That you're describing, where it's like everything was how he wanted it and what he wanted, but so I never felt at home there. So I completely understand. And Andy and I, when we got together, we both basically started from scratch. I took my 401k for my job and we started from scratch. We had to buy everything.
Because of your line of work, I didn't know if you guys actually had things like 401ks and things of that nature. Forgive me, ignorance, but
I worked at an asphalt job. I loaded asphalt trucks for 6 years, and then I resigned because at the start of the season, I was about to have a newborn baby, and with my AVM stuff, I didn't. So I actually resigned, and they gave my location to someone else, and then I reapplied there to float, but I would be working 75-hour weeks and all that, and they were so butthurt about me leaving that they just ignored me when I applied again. So, and they also got bought out by another company right before I resigned. Yeah. So it just wasn't meant to be anymore. The pay was good, but it was really, really, really stressful and fast paced. And
You worked like a 30 hours.
For a young mother, there's so much chemically going on in your body at this when you have a young child. Your brain and body don't act the same way as they do under normal circumstances anyway. So that kind of environment would be very harsh, to say the least.
Yeah. And I mean, money is important, and we've definitely struggled financially since then. But, you know, I get to see my family more, which there is nothing better than that. I didn't meet Andy until, you know, we were in our early 30s. So, I mean,
it's such a weird idea to me, but if I meet anyone now, that's what it's going to be for me in my early 30s. It's a weird idea.
And the thing is, like, it's so important that we, you know, we have experience with the relationships and life and all of these different things. So we come together with the knowledge and lessons that we've learned. And it's a good thing. Well, part of us is like, oh, it would be cool if we would have met when we were 16, but really, I mean, it'd be totally different. So the way that it happened is good. And we just want to spend time together. And I don't feel like we're like too codependent or clingy or any of that. We just want to spend time together. We genuinely like being around each other. We have fun. And so like the whole goal was to either have a business together, work from home together. So that way when we work, we can be together. And so I'm actually switching. I, you know, have a remote job. Finally, they're so hard to get now, but it's like
they all got snatched up during COVID.
Yeah, I do. I do have to go in person for 6 weeks for the training, but then I'll be remote, and I cannot wait to be remote. It's going to be amazing.
My sister's been remote, has worked 2 or 3 remote jobs in a row now, and she can't really go back. Yeah.
No, I don't know how anyone could, because I want to vape at work, smoke, drink, you know, whatever, snack.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I could in my scale house too. I mean, that was pretty. I did love that job for a lot of reasons. And then I had a bunch of truckers all the time bringing me snacks and food and drinks, and it was awesome. Like, they spoiled me, and
you have friendships and long-term like associationships that you form, and you kind of get in the company culture and all that jazz too. And it's like, don't get me wrong, I love my job. I've done it 20 since I was 8. Let me think.
Since I was 8,
21 or 22. So like 21 or 22 years, I've done this kind of work in some form or fashion, and amazing. I love what I work, but there are days where I'm like, you know, I don't like stepping in 8 inches of mud. I don't want to get a beam dropped on my head again. I don't want to fall off.
What? It's just a beam?
Oh, stuff happens. Okay. It's construction.
Yeah.
I've been hit by a car twice, and getting hit by a post in the chest one time was a lot worse than that. It was we were lowering these 35-foot posts off of this forklift, grabbing them and setting down on the ground. But as I went to grab one, Duffy had it already, and then he dropped it. I tried to go down with it, and then it bounced and teeter-tottered. And when I came back up, it hit me in the chest, and it flung me about 7 or 8 feet.
Oh my god!
I'm a big dude.
Knocked the wind out of you.
That's like 260, 70 pounds at the time.
That's fucked up.
It felt worse than getting hit by a car.
That was the universe's counter Hadouken.
Hadouken.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Damn.
Like men in my family are very hard boned. I think I might have separated some of the cartilage in my ribs, but I didn't break any.
Yep, the cartilage in your ribs. I still, from my rib fractures, I still have cartilage that I got a massage. When was it? It was a couple of years ago, but I got a massage, and she tried to crack my back before she massaged me, and she re-damaged, maybe even refractured my ribs. And it's like it hurt to breathe, hurt to exist, whatever, for months again.
So many people a lot of people are very fragile, and it's not me talking down to anybody, but I've seen people like just get damaged by, like, even just by people who aren't so fragile just existing and playing around. Like, I've seen kids get messed up. I've messed people. My brother broke this kid's arm one time wrestling.
Dude, Orcus one time literally knocked me out. I think he gave me a concussion. No joke. I was like laying on the fucking garage floor. Andy comes out and I was all dizzy and I felt like I was gonna throw up. And it's just because Orcus like just and headbutted me.
Mhm.
Just,
The dog just got excited and they came at different angles and headbutted each other.
I can't even tell you how many times the dogs or our son or Andy or like I always get fucked up. Like,
well, you're like, this is not a derogatory. You're a skinny white girl. Yeah, you're gonna get messed up a little bit.
I was just gonna say,
I've been through a lot of fucking shit, like medical stuff. Like when I hit my front teeth and they got pushed into my nasal cavity. Like I've been through so much shit. Many surgeries, all of that.
I still can't get over how Kahuna took the force of a freaking construction beam to the chest and it made him fly 7 feet back. And then that was it.
That was it, dude. It hit me in the chest going up, so it flew me up and then in an arc coming back down.
In an arc. And then, but that's the thing, Kahuna. That's it. You're like, my family's pretty tough. So, I mean, my ribs were kind of messed up a little.
It's relative. Like, there's stuff I didn't find out till. There's stuff that happened when I was very young. I didn't find out until later. So one time, my brother and I were arguing at a friend's wedding, and then he tells me, "Well, you're wrong because you're retarded." I'm like, "That's a very rude thing to say, first of all." And then, and then he's like, "No, when you were a kid, mom ran you over with the car when you were an infant." So I'm like, "What are you talking about, bro? I never heard this." Turns out, kind of did happen. When I was like 2 or 3-ish, I unlocked the car door because there's no child safety lock. Undid my seatbelt and I got out of the car. My mom backed over my head and my hand with the wheel of her car when she in the driveway there. And 3 days before my parents were going to move out of the state.
Hold up one sec. Wow. I have an important.
Go for it.
You need to read this.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, just a little life stuff intervening.
Oh no, you're good, man.
Yeah. But I'm convinced that
I probably have to call it before 11 my time at some point, but not yet.
Okay. Yeah, we can okay, yeah. So I'm convinced you are Achilles if you like are you indestructible or something? I'm kind of concerned.
No, I have holes in my shins. I have a scar on my eye when I attacked the shower and the shower beat me. I don't know if I've never like broken. I have micro fractures all over my body. I can feel holes in my bones when I run my hands along it. Yeah, and especially my shins. In my head, I don't know. I don't remember ever being concussed, but you wouldn't remember that, would you? So I don't know, man. I've been beat up a lot. I've fallen off a roof 11 times.
Maybe we'll have to buy that.
Maybe. Shit. Yeah, I was gonna say the old Caligula strategy in the shower didn't work for you. Declaring war on the ocean never works.
I stepped it. We had nothing down to keep from slipping, so I put one foot in. I put all my weight into that foot, lifting my other leg, and then I slammed my head down into a metal shower rack and split my face and my eye open right there. Got like 6 or 7 stitches.
I think most of my injuries happened before I could remember. Like I have a scar where my lip was split, and that seems like it was pretty bad. You know,
if you can still see it, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, I can still see it, and apparently it happened before I can remember. So that's how young I was. Usually those go away, but yeah, apparently that was a dog bite, and I have one under my nipple too. That's also a dog bite. So I was around dogs a lot. So I don't remember a
little thing there too.
Huh.
Don't know what that's from, but it's been there my whole life.
Well, Achilles had his heel. So
his heel, yeah, because she grabbed him like this and dipped him in there like a chip in a dipping sauce.
As an infant, you took on, or like as a toddler, you took on a car and then came out on, like, maybe not on top, but like you came out of it intact.
My dad had a lot of trouble forgiving my mom for that one. That was a rough.
What were you saying you were? Yeah. Oh, that's right. Never mind. Nothing.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, I could imagine that would be like kind of a point of
because it was just not being careful and aware, and like careless is a word. I don't know if it's the right word, but it's a word that you could use. And she was not very careful with us when we were younger too, especially with all the stuff we know now about how many kids get taken by bad people and doing bad things. It's like, oh my, she would leave us in the car when I was young. She would leave us in the car with the car running, or, like run into a store for like 10 minutes.
I would park, like I'd pull up, so like the gas pump's right here, the door to the store is like right there, and it's like 5 feet, right? And I was just going in to put $10 prepay, and I would still take Alexander out and bring him in. And I had so many people make comments like, oh, you're the only person I've seen that actually took your baby with you. I see people all leave their kids in the car all the time. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me here?
Kids are like that, man.
There's no way.
Adults with kids.
I refuse. Like, here's a good rule of thumb, parents. Your child there should never be an opportunity for another person you don't know to be closer to your child than you are. Period.
Which is usually common sense.
It
is.
It is common sense, but people are not aware. Like that movie, The Sound of Freedom. I only saw that like in the last month or so.
Really?
Like I was aware of that kind of stuff. I've always been aware of that kind of stuff. But
we had to pause it for palate cleansers to like get up and do whatever. It was hard.
I'm a masochist, so I just watched it all the way through by myself.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit!
That's why I'm getting into Halo.
I needed that. I needed the happy ending though, or I would have been fucking ruined.
I have friends who were. One girl, I won't say anything more about her. She was not even young. She was like a teenager, like maybe 17. She was taken by a gang in Olympia, Tacoma area. They held her for a day or two. And then the weirdest thing ever happened, a miracle by any means. One guy took her outside of the house where they had her, and then he just let her go.
Oh wow.
He told the other guys he was going to take care of the problem, and then he let her go. There's no precedent for this group of people to do that, and he did for some reason.
Yeah.
Can we all talk about something that I read?
Yes.
Sure, yeah.
Katie Room says, yes. I love you, #Iron Age, but empty retweets or commenting by tagging literally everyone you know are not ideal promotion. Personal recs of products you actually read and liked are the way forward for indies. All right. Constructive criticism. Yeah. Okay, so constructive criticism is important. And I know that I've heard from several people that they only review books they like and do positive ones. Mm-hmm. I'm not judging them for that. That's their thing. More power to them. But I just really, really don't see the point in, I love you, but let me talk shit because you're taking all of the people you know. Like, there is nothing wrong with supporting the people you know in the Iron Age and retweeting and tagging them and all of that. I do it all the time, and more people see it. And it is a good way to promote, in my opinion.
It's using the app too, actually.
So it's kind of like saying, no offense, but here's something offensive. In a way. I mean, it's not offensive, obviously. That's not what I'm saying. But
Katie and David, they're not afraid to say their real opinion. I'll give them that. They are very bold with their opinions, even though most of them are fairly innocuous. Continue, Katie.
I really feel they're the people that, like, she has 1.3 thousand followers and is following 299. She has retweeted stuff of mine, and there's been an interaction, but she didn't follow me back. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm not following you then. Because, like, if I feel like I don't know. I don't follow every single person that follows me, but if I look at their profile, I'm like, oh, they're, I'll follow them back. I don't need that ego of, look how many people follow me, and, like, the number I follow is tiny. So when I see that giant ratio and someone's not famous, it's like, I don't know. It's a little bit egotistical, and so I don't know. I'm not trying to talk shit too much.
No, you're just expressing kind of like your observation, and I do have some insight into that if you want to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like I mean, I've never had a bad interaction with her. Besides, I'm like, okay, well, you're too good to follow me back. That's like if we were Sims, I'd have like the negative above my head. You know what I mean? So I'm like, yeah, I'll just unfollow you, and that's that. Like we don't gotta be friends or anything.
In a long time. Anyway.
Oh, I loved that game.
My first girlfriend was like, "Hey, look, I can make her wear skimpy pajamas." I'm like, "Whoa!" Anyway.
Dude, I would make houses and have people that didn't know how to cook burn themselves. Basically, take out the pool ladder and they swim until they die. And then I would fucking make graveyards.
The game
so I'd
is
have a giant graveyard for a backyard.
Simulator. That's what it is. Intrusive Thoughts Simulator.
Have you ever
like Zoo Tycoon?
GTA? Yeah. No. Have you ever played GTA so much you almost started driving on the sidewalk to run people over in real life? Whoops.
No,
I've
never
literally pit maneuvered people.
That's like what they talked about in like the early 2000s about GTA.
It makes you want to
people will do it.
Like that.
Video games will make you violent. I'm like, there are some things about playing video games too much, but
if you do, Okay, for example, Skyrim. This is a true story. This is the only time I actually did something in real life because that game took over my life. I was playing Skyrim for fucking ever. And I walked into my uncle's house and I walked into his kitchen and just opened his cupboards. And I'm like, oh shit, what am I doing?
What are you?
Just like,
I'm sneaking.
Like looting and stealing shit.
I'm clearly sneaking.
What am I doing?
Okay, back to your insight.
Yeah.
Oh, with Katie. She runs a Parapsis Press, which primarily reviews indie books. There are a lot of indie books out there and a lot of indie authors. At first, she was doing basically like, oh, this person followed me. You seem cool. I'll follow you. But it was numbering and like so much that she didn't even know a lot of these people at some point.
Yeah.
So she started becoming very, very selective about who she would follow back. It wasn't meant to be anything like any mean thing. It was more just I need to really know you and like the kind of things that you post also on your social media. And so it's a combination of things like that. And like me, I'm dumb. Like even on YouTube, like I'll sub to people and then I'll go back later. I'm like, why am I subbed to this person? No.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you told me that. It made me feel like there's a lot of times where I've felt like women just fucking hate on other women, and I'm not like that. You know that I'm not that. Oh, I get along with guys better. I fucking love my lady friends. I can't even tell you how important they are to me, and so it's just important to have that relatable estrogen.
I grew up with a lot of strong Christian female friends. I know exactly what you're talking about. So like the good side of the feminine. Not the nasty, vile, stab you in the back. Like some of the worst things I can imagine.
Have their backs.
Femininity.
Like that's exactly it. Like I want female friends that are not afraid to support and egg each other on to like be their best selves, and like there's no room for jealousy. Like I want my female friends to have a good life and succeed, just like the males in my life, like there's no room for jealousy or hostility or any of that weird shit. Not saying anyone's jealous of me, that no one has a reason to be. It's not like that, but I just,
don't
just
say there's
wonder.
No reason. The people can be jealous of anything. There are people jealous of me. Like I won't out who this was, but someone reached out to me on in our group was like, how do you talk about going on all these dates, Christian? How do you do it? I'm like, I'm not that good looking. I don't have money because of my ex-wife, and I have no time because of my hobbies and my work and my kids. When I do go on dates, it's because I'm very, very persistent.
Yes.
And that's basically, I'm just charming, just good looking enough, just enough. I can get dates if I try to.
I think you're such a good person. No, you're a very good person, and I'm telling you right now, like I feel like there's probably very few people that are worthy of having you, and when you find that person, I'll be really, really excited for you because you deserve a really nice lady, someone that'll be good to you and your kids and treat them like family and all of that. And like, I don't think many people deserve. There's a lot of shitbags, man, and a lot of people don't deserve that, but you do. So
Yeah,
we're rooting for you for sure. And like, there's nothing wrong with.
But I'm not.
There's nothing wrong with being alone.
There's not. It's not my happiest state, but it is. How do I explain? I'm not the person I need to be in that proper relationship right now.
Yeah.
Too much drama with the ex-wife, not enough money, not enough of the structures that keep my internals set straight. Not enough of those are fortified and strong anymore. I'm much since I got divorced, I'm much weaker to temptation. I'm much more volatile.
But you could totally meet someone randomly that like even has money and wants to contribute and take care of you and all of those things in the ways you need. So I mean, you just never know. Like I was so dead set on being single. I was okay with it. I was at peace with it. I wanted it,
and you mentioned that actually, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to get married or have a family or any of that, and
that's
and
wild.
I thought I was like you said, you're not ready or whatever with certain aspects.
The internals aren't in proper working order, kind of thing.
I thought I was preparing for the next step in my music career by kind of disconnecting and reformulating my personal life, like going and finding a better job and stuff like that. Like when I met her, I actually had 2 jobs. One of them was I was a blackjack dealer.
So,
that's how we met.
Yeah, that's how we met. And
story.
I thought I was like I thought I was restructuring my life for music and like my career, but it turned out I was like instinctually restructuring it because I was going to meet my wife, you know.
You were becoming the person you needed to be in order to get that person in your life.
And we didn't even know
everyone's always pursuing that person, thinking they'll find the perfect person and it'll be all great. I'm like, no, if you aren't the right person, it doesn't matter how great they are. Maybe they're amazing, but if you're not the right person, it's gonna be.
Yes.
You're gonna get a.
You got to live with yourself. You got to live with yourself.
Something I wanted to say before is that there's like this thing where it's like, you know, you have to accept people as they are and you can't change them. Like people can totally change some things about them, you know. Like if someone says, hey, this really bothers me, like you can change your behavior or whatever. It's not like change your core beliefs and I don't know. Anyway, one thing is that when we like actually that night we talked all night till 8 in the morning and like all this shit, like it's so weird because we both started, like I started modeling and he started music in the same years and we also quit in the same year. I don't know if I told you that before, but
parallelisms, yeah.
And it's weird how I go to restructure my life, like I said, to prepare for music, and it turned into my wife. But here's the kicker: when I met her, my life was very disorganized, and I was not achieving that goal that I set out to originally to prepare for music and my career. So what ended up happening is I met my wife, and she ended up helping me restructure to actually do my original goal. And now I'm here with a book and more music. Yeah, because you were pushing me to make music again and stuff. Yeah, I wasn't gonna
pushing you. I think I just said,
not pushing, but
I'll always support whatever you want to do. You know.
But
pushing. No, Katie. We're guys. Pushing is not always a bad thing. Guys need, like, whether we call it that or not, pushing. We need to be pushed. Or when we're young, we're pushed by our fathers if they're good, if they're worth anything. And
well, the baby bird gets pushed out of the nest. You know what I mean? Pushing isn't necessarily a bad thing. So it's like, what ended up happening is it brought me back to where I'm supposed to be, and with who I'm supposed to be with, and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I signed with another agency, and I have other things coming up that are modeling, but in a different way, like more than that. So Like, yeah, we've got stuff going on. It's
a whole thing.
It's good. I felt like so we had
as long as it's sitting well with your soul and it's helping you guys go where you need to go. It's all good, man. I'll applaud anything you guys have that's successful.
We had like, okay, if you do those personality tests, I've only seen one other person, and I wasn't friends with them. It was someone commenting on a friend's page, but the 16 personalities or whatever. So besides one person that I don't know, I've only seen Andy and I get protagonist. So we both got protagonist, and all of our percentages were like only a couple off, if not the same one. And so it's really weird that like we had these like entertainment creative type jobs, and then we find each other, and like I feel like it didn't work out it worked out in ways for us. Like, yeah, I have some magazine covers and I did Fashion Week, and he has like albums and did shows, but like I feel like we had to come together to like really start building something like it's with a purpose now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Something real. Yeah. More real.
Yeah, and now we have the knowledge of
it's not addition, it's multiplication.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and we like know about contracts and just like how the entertainment industry is, and like how I gotta go fix that rug before it drives me crazy.
And like as far as music goes, like not pursuing things that are kind of like endless reservoirs of energy consumption. Like, for example, if you start playing music and you form a band, and your first goal is to just, all right, let's go play shows immediately. Well, shows are an endless endeavor. That's the last thing you do, because it's an endless endeavor.
Look at all the even whether they were successful immediately or not. Look at some of those guys who are touring for like a decade or years without really much of a break.
That was pretty good. Too much.
I don't think a single one had proper family by the end of that kind of cycle.
Right. And yeah, like the old guys in the bands, they come back and they do the endless touring at the end of the career.
We're almost done.
Because they can. And it's usually after
they with mommy.
Like you see, I think it's, what was it, like Guns N' Roses came back from the dead and started touring again. Like you get old bands. I know Leonard Skinner is still going. You know what I mean? Like some Weekend at Bernie's.
There was like it's always weird when there's a new iteration of an older band. Sometimes it works out really well, because then you get like bands like Accept. They got rid of one of my favorite metal singers, and like the old guy, but then he formed his own band, and now you have two really great bands that are very different from one another. You have UDO and Modern Accept, and everything they've been putting out in recent years has just been golden musically.
Right. And like,
hey buddy.
Yeah, Zandy. But
love you so much.
Maybe we should tie it up for the night. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just about that time.
Where can everybody find you, Kahuna?
You can find me at The Ultimate Kahuna on YouTube and The Ultimate Kahuna on the hellstorm known as Twitter. Or Twixt. Or X. According to one Asperger's inflicted CEO.
Yes. Yeah, I know. And your YouTube is like your main content, right? You do like reviews.
I do everything. I do gaming. I do anime taste streams. I do reading streams. I interview authors and creators about their works, if they're a true legend or not, and I try to make it all entertaining. That's like the end goal for my channel. I'm not gonna tell people how to live their life. I'm just here because I want to make people laugh and have a good time, and maybe learn something about someone who's worth knowing about. And so if I can edify, if I can uplift creators and people like that, that's something I can do, and I'd love to do it.
Amen, brother. Well, you can find me on the Twix as well at _C_Pritchard, and you can find some free content on my Substack. It's an ongoing epic story coming of age story following a boy named Zan and his pet wolf. You can hear the wolves in the background right now barking. So you see the inspiration there. But yeah, it's a magical story for free on the Substack, acpritchard.substack.com. You can find my more adult / mature themed stuff in my book and my upcoming novel. My Amazon link is amazon.com/author/acpritchard. Mortal Descent was also adapted into a comic, which right here,
Chronicles.
Anvil Magazine, issue 3 has the sauce in it. This stuff is just fantastic. I have been absolutely loving it. It's been good stuff.
Bro, it looks so good.
I know. So yeah, you can go over to anvilmagazine.com and pick that stuff up too. And yeah, it's all fun. Where can they find you, babe?
On Facebook at Moonzilla Tarot, Twitter X Moonzilla Tarot, and TikTok MZ Tarot, and on YouTube at Pritchard Pub. So don't forget to sub to the pub, like our video, please, and thank you. And I don't know about tonight. Maybe possibly tonight. Otherwise, tomorrow we're gonna do a Watchworthy, where we go through different viral videos. We have a better hold on how to do that now, where we'll play the full videos instead of skipping around, and we're learning.
That could be a good show for you to be a returning guest on as well.
Yeah. Kahuna's always allowed on anything and everything.
Yes, we'll much like this. Yeah.
He agrees.
Much like the sandworms of Dune, we'll burrow through the filth and the grime of TikTok and present it to the Western world for all to behold and cringe, but also scratch our head at some of the more interesting stuff. So
it's like that sound.
Yep.
Hey,
Cut to Jerry Springer.
Young kids are so flexible, man. It's funny.
Want to say hi?
Want to say hi?
Hi.
Say hi, Xander.
You wave hi.
Say hi, buddy. You see?
Hi, brother. Dude, you look so much like your parents. It's freaky, man.
I agree.
On that note, thanks.
Sup to the pub, cowards.
Sub if you dare.
Hey guys, we better stop to the pub or else.
Let's go to Honky at the pub!
We will find you.
Fuck around and find out!
That's so awesome.